America. We are just outside of Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin, not far from the town of Plymouth, and this is one of America's classic tracks, about 4 miles in length, and it has changed very little over the last 75 years. Have the iconic Johnsonville Bridge, you have this kink down into the long straightaway heading into Canada Corner, you have the big uphill onto the pit straight. This is such a beautiful facility in Wisconsin, and we have the AWSCO Windows Cup Series here today, and I, Madison, am joined by Eddie. What do you think about this place?
I mean, I think it's great. It's nice to be still around in Wisconsin. I can't believe I got lost in the infield of Milwaukee yesterday. That was an interesting time. But I'm back. Um, I'm here with you, Madison, in the infield garage of Road America, which I will likely not get lost in, although don't get your hopes up. I have a terrible sense of direction. And yeah, this is going to be a fun track. Second road course of the year, 4 miles comparative to Willow Springs, which I believe Willow Springs is only about 2.5 miles. So this is actually we had Bathurst earlier this year as well. I keep forgetting Bathurst is the road course, but this is definitely the longest race they've had so far this season in terms of track length. I think the longest all season. So yeah, I'm excited for this one because I think this is going to be fun seeing the drivers in the Oscar Window Cup Series. Just figure out how to maneuver around this track because it's a beast, as most road course tracks are. So it could be really interesting to see how people figure this one out.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want a little fun fact about this track, it is somewhere between 55, 60 miles directly north of Milwaukee Mile, where we were last week. And for Eddie's sake, I hope that the infield is a little bit easier to navigate. It's significantly larger, so I don't have my hopes very high, but certainly a lot to look forward to as far as the road courses go. The Continental race, of course, at Milwaukee had a chaotic start, but really toned things out later and got quite entertaining near the end with strategy and great racecraft. And we expect more of similar stuff despite the massive differences between the flat oval of Milwaukee and the very hilly road course of Road America.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of difference between these two tracks, and you don't need to talk about just the layout to really get to it. I expect a lot different stuff. From my knowledge, Bathurst and Willow Springs, they weren't really crash fest much. Drivers were, in all honesty, pretty good around these types of tracks in terms of not wrecking. So I imagine it's going to be a little less of a wreck fest than in Milwaukee. But I also know that I think a good amount of these drivers, if I can remember correctly, they're might not, they're kind of I want to say the smarty pants of this track. That's not a great word to use. That's my commentator experience losing it. But I mean, some of these drivers, they're more, oval drivers. That's where they got their experience. That's where they got the experience to be given the spot that they're in. And that doesn't really help in this type of track. So we could see a lot of drivers that just do not handle well. And if they get into any kind of trouble, they're gonna lose it, and we're gonna have to see how that affects everyone else if not a lot of people start losing it early. Or maybe everyone's figured things out after two road courses, and we see just better racing. I would hope for better racing here because that'd be so good to get some good racing in Road America. Let me tell you.
Yeah, Road America is typically one of the highest regarded road courses in the country as far as good racing goes, because you have that, you have Watkins Glen, you have Most Sport, so many legendary tracks, and this is certainly one of those legendary tracks in North America. And some of our drivers, quite interesting to note. Of course, we have Miko Harina starting up front, and the pole margin really only about 100th of a second over Mimi Barino in the three. So our front row quite close in qualifying, and a lot of parity all throughout the field. In fact, yeah, what do you think about the prospects of competitiveness near the front and all around, really?
All around, I mean, there's always the hope. You hope it's a competitive race. But yeah, looking at some of these times, they were close up front. Harina and Barino and Nihale could be really fighting for a lot of this race, which would I think make sense if you look at it. If you look at just this out in terms of uh, teams, I mean, Nihale. Look at the right thing, right? Yeah, Nihil and Harina, Atlantic Racing teammates. So maybe watch out for Honda at that point. Mimi Barino's kind of the lone driver, but MBYW Motorsports is always looking for something. I would hope it's a little better. Otherwise, I mean, there are only really two drivers there outside of that 2:6, 2:06, 2:07 range. So I would imagine that this race ends up being as competitive as can be, and that will hopefully mean for a great race. I mean, at the same time, we also saw last week, last week, last night, we saw a driver win from pole in Milwaukee. So maybe there's a bit of an AWSCO streak. Maybe about poles. Maybe that ends tonight. I guess big things to point out is that you got names like Eva Jartharaj, who ran the fastest, I think, recorded lap out of anyone doing practice and qualifying at 2:64:09, so under 2 minutes 6.5 seconds as well, which was joined by Harina, Nihil, and Jetta. So some of these drivers, they might only be in the fast 10, but they've got some speed. And as much as it would be hard to say a four-car race would be entirely exciting, it would be for really good cars with a lot of, I want to say like story and history behind them, essentially, from both the Atlantic racing cars to Mesa Park Motorsports to Jar Rods to something like a Sky and Jetta. A lot of names that are kind of up here in the standings and would, I mean, really like a second win to sort of add to, if anything, just momentum or just ensuring that they can keep up at the top of the standings. I guess the big name there being Sky and Jetta, who missed a couple races earlier this season. If she can pull off a win, that puts her, I mean, close to the cut line, but that also puts her in. So you got to imagine she'd be loving it if she can take what was a great practice time and qualifying time, and then I mean turn it into a win.
Yeah, for sure. And thinking about some of our drivers further back, we remember in Milwaukee that we had Yoko, who actually started very close to the back, had an engine blown qualifying. She made her way up and almost won the race, lost it in the closing laps to Robin Morales, but still managed a second place finish. And we look at some of the drivers back here, like Jamie McJasmina, Alicia Byrne, Mauricia Bebel, some drivers that we know have had some speed, but haven't always been able to put it together. And what do you think about their chances to get to the front? Because especially with a driver like Bebelst, very aggressive, but perhaps excessively so, and mistakes are very harshly punished at this track.
Absolutely, and I think, I mean, that is going to be an issue for Byrne and Vebels, especially since Byrne and Vebels they don't have the best track records. I think both when it comes to in terms of Alicia Byrne when it comes to points. I know the Byrne sisters have had a very say difficult year, but then again, I'm forgetting where Alicia technically is in the point. I mean, Alicia's 16th, so I mean, both these drivers are technically good. Alicia's 9 points above the cut line right now for points, and Mauricia Bebels, I mean, has a win, three top tens, four is possibly one of the best averages in terms of average finishing position anywhere. So she could easily win from anywhere. She could have a great race from anywhere. But you're right on the whole. You're right on the idea of aggression. And plus, I think these drivers, if I can go back to Bathurst and Willow Springs, I believe Willow Springs was all. I mean, Mauricia had an all right race at Willow Springs, finished 11th, at least finished on the lead lap. And Bathurst, if I remember correctly, was not a great race. I think he finished Bathurst too. So Rebels can finish. So the aggression might not be the difficult part there. It might be more the avoiding a lot of the drivers around her who may get a little bit sideways. Then again, with Alicia Byrne, I mean, Byrne finished dead last, retired barely a lap in to Bathurst. I don't think had a much better Willow Springs. So for Alicia Byrne, it's probably not an issue, but she does need to move up towards the front. Marisha, I can imagine her aggression will be great. As we've seen, her aggression on road courses can get her somewhere, but it's going to be interesting to see whether that aggression ends up finally costing her here, or if she manages to use that aggression in a good way and put herself closer to the front as the race goes on.
Yeah, for sure, because this is a track where you have quite a number of overtaking zones. So we look at the track again and we see you go up the hill and then you enter turn one, and That certainly is an overtaking zone, a fairly quick corner, but one where you can make that move because of that super long straightaway. And then you have plenty of other overtaking zones, like in turn 3, that battle from turn 1, it can continue. Then you have another long straightaway where you go under the Sargento Bridge and then down into turn 5, which it's very easy to overshoot that turn. We've seen plenty of drivers either just miss it completely or run wide into the gravel trap or the grass. And certainly 5 is a place you have a lot of aggressive racing. And then you get down into turn 8, where we've seen a lot of moves. Then the carousel through the kink and Canada Corner is a prime spot for overtaking. Then, of course, you head back up the hill and complete the lap. And I'm sure we'll see a demo lap later so you guys can visualize it. But plenty of opportunities to overtake here. And yeah, certainly a lot of that. But what do you think are some of the trickiest sections of the track? Because there's the kink, we mentioned the carousel. What would you say might be the biggest struggle for these drivers?
Well, I'm not too familiar with sort of the area of Road America. I'm kind of stuck in, I'm an East Coaster. I'm kind of here in a bit. I guess my big issue here would be probably just 12. I'd say 12, 13, 14, because I have a feeling a lot of these drivers, I mean, it's not really a sharp right-hander, but it is a bit of a bend. And coming off of kettle bottoms, drivers, I mean, a right-handed turn followed by a right curve and then another right-handed turn. Just, I feel like that area is just going to be where someone's either they're going to lock up into from kettle bottoms, they're going to, I don't know, just not have the right positioning going around the bend and into turn 14. Just someone's, all it takes is one person causing a mistake this early in the race, and suddenly, I mean, you saw it in sort of some of the other races. I mean, you have around road courses. I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's an F1. There's not an F1 race. What am I saying? IndyCar race where you saw a lot of crashes that were just drivers colliding into each other because someone makes a decision that no one else expects. And I think we know a lot of these drivers can have some chaotic decision making either from strategists or from their own intuition. So I have a feeling that that area is going to be pretty dangerous in the sort of um, it's an interesting part of the course, especially coming towards the finish, where I think some drivers, especially drivers trying to get some points, so they're going to go for trying to lead a lap or at least get some positions. Someone's gonna have an issue, and that's gonna be the point where like everything's just gonna implode.
I can certainly see that. And now we have a cart on our screen. This is the demo lap, so we will show you exactly how all of this works once we get it rolling. So we were talking about some of those different corners on the track, very difficult, very challenging, and certainly complicated and diverse. And now we'll get to see the lap here if we can roll the clip. Might take a little bit of time, but that's fine. We can keep having some conversations here and there.
Hi, hello.
Oh yeah.
Hi, Madison. You got me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I
All
see
right,
you
perfect.
in that car, and it looks great.
Good to be in the studio here for a little bit of a demo lap. We do this at all the road courses in the AWSCO, at least in the Cup Series. Yeah, you'll see the Road America has plenty of long straightaways. This is, of course, the main front stretch. You'll see that iconic hill going up the track. Here it'll be full throttle, fifth gear, or fourth gear. I don't actually know. You'll be braking hard into the first turn here. Good work. There's plenty of runoff there. You see cars running wide, trying to get a better run, as well into 2 and 3 here. This one's a pretty straightforward braking section. Then it's back to full throttle and a long way here up through the moraine sweep into turn 5 later on. Here's gonna be another one of the places where you can make a lot of overtaking maneuvers. But you gotta make sure you get your braking points right here. It's really easy to lock up and just kind of barrel into the tires there. But yeah, you'll be seeing a lot of moves being made here. But you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful here. If you make a move into 5, you'll usually have the inside line to 6. But if you can't get the move done, you'll find yourself on the outside here at 7. And well, once you get to the exit of 7, there really isn't going to be much overtaking going on unless you make a daring move here out of 8. Past the once you get to the Johnsonville Bridge here. Now is where the track gets a little bit more technical here. this part's all about throttle modulation, just being able to make sure to get the car turning as much as possible. Had to float the throttle quite a bit through this part, down through 10 and into the kink at turn 11 here. Again, very careful. Just kind of lift off the throttle a little bit. Make sure you keep all four wheels off on the asphalt. And you got another long run up to what might be the best overtaking opportunity, Canada Corner. There's room to kind of just, if you look at all the asphalt on the outside here, there's lots of room to move around. And you're going to be seeing bold moves from the drivers, I think, coming into that corner. And then through here, 13 and 14, another pretty technical section, all about making sure you get your car rotated correctly. And I think as Eddie said, that's a section we might see cars make some mistakes. I do think that's going to happen quite a bit as we head down the front stretch and back into the start-finish lines to complete a lap here at Road America. Yeah, very long racetrack here, and as drivers are going to have to know their corners really well. So it was nice. It was nice doing that lap for you guys, and I'll leave it back to you guys for the rest of the pre-race show.
Yeah, thank you, Rashia, for that lap. We certainly talked about the track, but to see it is going to help our viewers a lot more to understand this facility. And as far as I'm concerned, possibly, well, there's a lot of difficult tracks in North America and the world, but this is definitely among the very most difficult. And yeah, Canada Corner, you do have a lot of room down there, but it runs out very quickly. As you saw, and those walls tend to get very close to the track. And of course, we saw the IndyCar race, had some chaotic moments, had some great overtakes, and certainly an IndyCar drives a lot differently than a stock car around here. But we have our starting lineup in view, so before long, we will have this racing ready. We see Mika Harina here on the pole and the three alongside. So any last thoughts before we get this show started?
I do. My last thought, and I know I'm going to say this knowing full well that there's very good chance I end up cursing someone on this track, as I have cursed so many before. If anyone who's watched me call races across the board, watch out for that 98 car. Ivo Jarsaraj is, I think, the driver who's the most experienced at these types of tracks. He led the most laps at Willow Springs and won. He didn't have a real, I think just did not have a very great Bathurst. But if you want to talk about a driver who was capable of easily winning these things, it's her. And with the place in which she is starting, 8th place, compared to a lot of these other drivers, there is a very good chance that we see experience, albeit youthful experience, win out. And I'm actually just got notes that she actually was doing well at Bathurst. So he's a driver to look out for, and being in the Fast 10 and having that Fast 10 and having that qualifying lap means, yeah, if the 98 wins, I better not see any shocked faces anywhere around the paddock. I wouldn't see him anywhere around the paddock. I don't expect them on any of the faces of the fans. That's about all.
Yeah, that's certainly a great insight to have. Now, as far as commentators' jinxes, though, as I'm sure you're listening down on pit road, Echo and I certainly had some throughout the race, and this time it's going to be Rashia joining Echo in the booth, and I believe we finished things up here, so we will let our two good friends up there continue things for you. That's been Eddie and Madison. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and welcome here to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, at the 4.048 mile Road America. 14 corners, high speed. This is such a hard track to master, but for the driver that can get it done today, it will be a day they won't forget. I'm Echo, and I'm joined by Rashi up here in the booth here in Road America. And Rashi, you're you know a lot about road course racing. What do you think we're gonna see in this one?
I mean, we're gonna see some pretty classic Road America racing, which in the stock cars it means a lot of dive bombs into 5 and 12. I think you're really gonna be seeing cars making bold moves into those two corners specifically. We'll probably see cars make mistakes as well over there, and maybe some other mistakes in some of the more technical parts, like 9 and 10 or 13 and 14 at the end of the lap. So it's going to be a fun ride for everyone. This is a very long racetrack relative to most others. It really is, I think, only rivaled by Bathurst in terms of kind of scale, but I think that's going to pose a great challenge for the drivers today.
It is the longest track we go to on the schedule. I believe the next closest. It's either Bathurst or it is Bathurst, and then it's Daytona, the road course at Daytona. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and read off our starting grid, and it's got a lot of drivers who have a lot of experience on these tracks, and a lot of drivers who, kind of surprising to see up here. Row 1, that's Mika Harina with her second consecutive pole, and alongside her is the 3 of Mimi Barrino. Row 2, points leader, last week's second place finisher at Pocono, Jocelyn Nihale, is alongside the 55 of Breda Lott, who won in Fontana. Row 3, Sky and Jetta in the 16, alongside Cynthia Rariston in the 32, who's won twice this year. Row 4, Adi Stoneman in the 10, and the Willow Springs winner, Eva Jarsaraj. Row 5, the 23 of Yappy Malikson, who's pretty experienced on these kind of tracks, and she's alongside Dara Reister, who's in her second week back from injury. Row 6, the 22, Andrea Davison, and the 18 of Perry Alacantes, who won back at Denver, and she's actually started on the pole at Bathurst. Row 7, the 21, Amani Wandayo, and the 62, Halis Jukovic, Daytona 500 winner. Row 8, Calder Park winner, Angeli Rucatino, and the 13 of Yania Waterton. Row 9, the 92, Michele Yotica, and the 38 of Youngwei Ku. Row 10, Texas winner Taylor Happman and Isa Ijavida in the 2. Row 11, last week's winner in Pocono, Lily Talberson, alongside the 60 of Amory Wesco. Row 12, the 15, Tabrizia Tolrone, and the 9 of Carly Byrne. Row 13, runner-up in Bathurst, Nietzsche Garnston, alongside the 52, Rachel Cole. Row 14, 72 of Janet Parkins, alongside the winner at Bathurst, Arlen Hanstrom. Row 15, the 20 of DeGavi Abriella, alongside the 42 of Meka Gennaro. Row 16, the 8 of Lowry Schliesenbach, and the 46, Yenfi Yanaga. Row 17, the 1 of Alicia Vancy, and the Phoenix winner, Irina Tosima. Row 18, the 71 of Abby Little, and the 26 of Sophie Chantose, winner in the Clash. Row 19, the 82 of Paisley Uria, and the 6 of Gianni McJasmina. Row 20, starting at the tail end, the 91 of Alicia Byrne, and the 99, Marisha Vebelst. Vebelst was fast through all the practice sessions. Practice we saw in the carousel, turn 10. There were a lot of cars that were having a lot of trouble getting through that corner. Some cars were driving off the track and into the tire barriers. How much of that do you think we're going to see today?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in my demo lap that that section can be tricky, and it's all about maintaining good throttle modulation discipline and just making sure you don't overdrive the corner. We saw a lot of that in practice. I think cars were maybe just looking at the practical limits of the car and just kind of pushing the envelope a bit. We'll see if that repeats in the race, but hopefully these drivers know the limits of their car better and are able to work with that throughout the race, because it would be unwise, I think, to bin the car early on because you overdrove that section.
Yeah, and a lot of strong road course drivers up at the front of the field, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw someone unconventional win this race. This track does kind of lend itself to those kind of drivers that really know how to short track race. And we've seen unconventional drivers win at this track quite a bit, pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, I think so. This kind of track, of course, lends itself to a lot of good road course drivers, and we have plenty of experience, I think, in tin tops and endurance racing alike on road course, and I would expect them to contend for the race. But yeah, at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if other kinds of drivers are able to make a case and contend at the front as well. So this track is gonna be exciting. There's a lot of drivers, I think, that can contend for the win here, and obviously you look at the starting grid here, and there's plenty of Atlantic Racing cars up front. I don't think you can count any of them out maybe at a chance for the win here.
The Atlantic Racing has looked like the best team all year. Starting there, they'll come up the big hill up to the front straightaway and the start-finish line. Harina and Barrino lead them to the green here in Wisconsin. Green flag is out, and we're racing in Road America.
Really good jump by the 34 there. Arena already cleared the 3 car. Here we go, 3 wide into
We got
one
3
already.
wide into 1. There's Alicante's trying to take a spot away.
More 3 wide at the back too. Anybody gotta be bold? Try to send it 4 wide even. Maybe not here.
Not here. I don't think you want to do it here. We might see it into turn. We might see it into turn 5 though. Down the moraine sweep and
Here
into
comes
turn
Marino
5. Here
looking
comes
to make a move.
the
Yeah.
3 looking to the inside on the 34.
Important to get your marks right here. On the inside, but you don't want to outbrake yourself.
I know.
Good. It's good late breaking a Arena there to defend.
Got a car that spun around. I think it was the 92 of Yatica, but she's going to keep it going. 18 off a little bit. The 3 and the 34 still fighting. 34 runs into the sand a little bit, but they stay side by side. Now the 3 gets in front. Barino makes the move. Work.
Here we go through the carousel.
This is the most sketchy part of the track for all these drivers.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the outside here, really. Oh, there
Whoa,
goes
the
Arena.
34!
He's gonna keep it straight at least. That's gonna be a costly mistake. Another car. That's Yukovic, I think. That's
Yukovic
2
in the
Atlantic
62.
cars. Ooh, careful in the rejoin. Only 2 cars though.
Only 2 cars there went off, but
Watch out! Here comes Canada corner.
yeah, here we go into Canada corner. And Mika Harina started on pole, and she has dropped way back. She's pretty much gone from the top 10. Got a great jump on the start, and that is pretty much it.
Yeah, I mentioned that you really want to minimize your mistakes over here, and that was really costly. You don't want to be making a mistake on lap 1. The cars are all bunched up, and you lose a lot of position.
Yep.
If you run wide.
Got a couple cars going wide in turn 14. Byrne and Abriella. Looks like everybody stayed on track. Nobody's gone down pit road. We got Jarasaraj looking underneath Ariston for the 5th position.
Yep, there's your Willow Spring winner. Ran well at Bathurst as well before an engine problem. So that's a driver that I think we'd be keeping an eye out on.
55 ran real wide there in turn 3.
Just about kept
She
it off.
lost.
Just about kept it off grass, but that lost her a spot.
Yeah, she lost a spot from that. And she might lose 2 because here comes Rarest into the 32 car. This is such a long track. These lap times over 2 minutes here. And that's gonna mean if you have an issue and you have to stop, you're very likely not making it back to the pits.
Yeah, it's a long way back if you blow a tire or have that kind of issue.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. Oh, Alacante's running wide again there.
Alacante's ran wide there. Ajar Siraj gonna stay ahead of her. Dira Reister on the outside of the 18 there.
And Jetta's making good progress.
And Jetta's
here.
up here. She's closed in on Barino quite a bit.
Oh, what? 32 running wide. Oh,
23
running well wide.
Well, there's no good angle of the.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough camera angle there with the sign in the way.
Yeah.
Still Barino, but Jetta is right on her bumper now.
Here we go. We got another move. We got to move into Canada corner with Reister. They're gonna go 3 wide through this corner.
Ooh, 98 kind of
That's
missed her mark.
sketchy. 98 slipped a little bit. That's let the 17 try and pull through.
Here's what's really sketchy. You don't want to go 3 wide through here.
Actually, the 18 is going to be the benefactor of all of that. Perry Alacantes, as the 98's off into the grass now.
Well off, and that'll throw her back to the middle of the top 20, I think. It's in the teens, I would assume.
34 is actually up here. 34, she's not lost that much ground. She's still
She's
in...
just outside the top 10, I think. There's the 22 is in 10th, yeah.
11th right now is where she's scored. Yeah, and Jetta's there on the 3.
Oop, had to check up there.
A little bit of a
Went little
slip.
wide.
Yeah, little slip there.
I think just kind of timed her out a little early there. You don't want to... Ooh, problems for
The
the 6
6
car.
of McJasmina.
Some damage to the rear, I see. They pulled off the rear bumper.
Rear bumper is off there. See if we can catch what happened. This is such a long, treacherous track. that there's so many different places for something to happen.
Is it here? Well, there's already damage to the car there.
Oh yeah, there is. That might have been a first lap stack up. That might have been on that first lap stack up. Kind of surprised that we didn't have any.
Nobody ended up facing the wrong way at the end of the first lap.
Yeah.
I think the 92 only ended up getting a little bit sideways, but that.
Yeah, 92 stacked up a bunch of cars, but that was it. That was all that happened to her.
Watch out, for Schliesenbach. He's just trying to send it 3 wide into that corner. There was barely any room to do that.
There's 3 wide up here with Harina and Ku and Ijavida. I'm not sure you can make 3 wide work through there, but
Not for very long. Someone has to give in. Someone has to give way there. And we saw Ku ended up being the one that did so, although she's going to try to make a move here.
tries to stay outside. She's going to have the preferred line into the carousel.
Arina's just going to do enough to...
38's
Never mind.
off.
38's the one that drove off the track instead.
Looks like she kept it off the wall. Those tire barriers are treacherous. That's the risk of running wide there in the carousel is if you get in those tire barriers, that could very well end your race. Mimi Barrino, though, the Californian driver, she's got a lot of road course experience, got a podium finish in Bathurst. She's leading the way early here from Road America. As 3 laps, we're about to complete lap number 3 here.
Yeah, the front of the field is just stringing out a bit. Seeing 7 seconds separate the top 10. And it's especially big gap between 4th and 5th. 3 seconds down to, well, I should say 2.5 seconds. Or so down from the 55 over to this pack of cars in the rest of the top 10.
There's Dira Reister trying to make moves. Lily Halverson's moved up a few positions as well, up to 12th in the 39 car. Winner in Pocono last week, and, you know, this isn't Pocono, but I think Pocono is a decent example of a track where you have to, you know, take a bunch of different corners, and that's kind of what Road America is as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pocono isn't really a road course, but I think you can take away a lot of road course skills into a track like Pocono, and I think vice versa. Just that kind of throttle and braking discipline you need to learn at Pocono can definitely be applied to road courses.
And Jetta's been hounding the 3 for a bit. See if she's able to make a move on the 3 car here.
Man, it's early going. She hasn't really looked as
64
just dropped a few tires.
Slid a little wide, but not too far wide. 16, I think, had a bit of a better corner there, but she's going to have to modulate it through the kink.
Yeah, just make sure the timer run well here so you can make a move into Canada corner.
This is going to be the best spot for Jetta if she's going to make that move.
Gonna do it now? Doesn't look like it. Maybe she's gonna try to just... No.
Maybe try and push it into 14, or maybe down the front straightaway into turn 1.
Perhaps, yes.
There's a lot of good passing zones here. See Stoneman fighting with Rariston. That's for 5th. Rariston, I think, has checked up a fair few of these cars.
Yeah, this seems to be the bottleneck. These 2 cars here. Stoneman can get past, and looks like she's gonna do so.
I don't know.
Oh, we'll see.
32's got a good run down the front.
She does have the the 10 will have the inside though, but maybe the 18 is gonna try to look for that.
I think the 18 might try and take him 3. We'll see.
She's looking. She's thinking about it. But she decides against it.
Backed off on it. Now we got a battle for 2nd. Here comes Nihale on it on Jetta.
Yep, inside line here into 3. Should be good to go. Couple cars taking pit stops. See the 34 as well. 91 as well.
Very few
Mostly
cars,
for damage repair,
like
so I assume that's some sort of incident.
There might have been some kind of incident.
Yeah.
Nobody's out of the race, so it looks like the 99 was one of those
far
cars
back
that was
as well.
down.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see if we can catch that.
Now here's this pack of cars. Is it the 91 and 99? I feel like maybe the 34s came in for something entirely different, or
This might have been just damage remnants.
Yeah. I think the 34 might have just sustained a little bit of damage from that run across the
Yeah.
run across the gravel at the on lap 1.
Very possible. In fact, I would say it might be very likely. 92 also came in, so I assume that a lot of these cars must have just got damage in that stack up.
Yeah, perhaps. Ooh, 3's running
Three
away.
cars
Well wide,
wide.
well wide.
That's the leader.
Ooh, that looks like a big hit. That is
And
a
she's
huge
in
hit.
the tires.
Burrito's
The
in
leaders. The leader, Mimi Burrito, takes it too hard through the carousel, and
And
not
that's-
only will it cost her the lead, it'll cost her the race.
And that's exactly the kind of mistake I was talking about. You don't want to be setting it too far this early. It's only lap 5, and you don't really need to be making that kind of to be pushing it that hard, I would say, early on. That's gonna be a very costly mistake for the leader.
It looked like that car was so damaged that she wasn't able to keep it rolling. That's going to hand the lead off to Nihale now in the 64 car. Decent momentum up here. Yeah, unfortunate for Mimi Burrito. Just made that mistake and it cost her. 64 went fairly wide off turn 1 there.
Looks like just slid it up a little bit. Let's get a let the 16 just kind of reel it in a bit more. Looks like we're getting a 3-car breakaway here. Well, it was 4, but
It was 4, but
now
something kind of happened to the 3.
it's 3 now. And then we're getting these 3 cars as well.
These 3 battling back here. That's
Alacante's
Alacante's with Rariston.
To the inside here, the inside of the next corner as well.
Yep, up into this. This corner is fair. This corner is what I would call a blind corner. You can't really see the turn into the corner until you crest the hill.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of hard to see it. That may affect their judgment a little bit. Still side by side, these two. 18 will have the inside again here.
18 has the inside in here.
Heading towards the carousel. Is gonna finally complete the move, I think.
Yep, she got clear, but
She gotta keep it on the track through the carousel here. Looks
did she
fine
keep?
enough. Looks decent enough. Yeah,
Yep.
You'll get it.
She'll keep it on track. That's the thing, is going through that carousel. It's been tough, and I think the 3 I think she just took it a little too hard into that corner, and
Yeah, it is rather easy to kind of overdrive it because you feel like your car can do more, but these cars are still rather restricted in the way they can corner, and I think that's just a consequence of the tires are made, I would say.
yep.
You feel like the car can give more, but it really doesn't.
So Nihale out front now. That's the points leader that's leading this race. Jocelyn Nihale. I mean, Nihale's record on road courses this year has been fairly respectable. She finished fifth in Bathurst, and she dropped to 21st at Willow Springs, but Nihale's run fairly well on these road courses all season. Sky and Jetta didn't run at Willow Springs, but at Bathurst she was up towards the front before she had a mechanical issue that took her out of the race. And the AWSCO officials have clarified, again, that the caution rules are the same as at Bathurst and Willow Springs, where there won't be any cautions except for if a car is stalled on the racing surface. So if it's on the apron, that would not be a caution. But if it is on the actual track in between the white lines, that would be a caution. Yeah, these 3 cars still hanging pretty close to each other. Rariston's dropped back to 6th as Stoneman and Alacantes have those positions right now. in front of her. Yania Waterton, that's Brino's teammate, she's up in 7th right now. Reister, Davison, and AWSCO make up the remainder of the top 10. Ava Jarsaraj sits back at 11th. She's kind of just trailing this group ever so slightly. "16 is there. She is all over the 64. In fact, Sky and Jetta currently has the NordVPN fastest lap of the race. 2 minutes 6 seconds, 2 minutes 6.1 seconds.
Yeah, Jetta spent most of this race in second, kind of hounding the leader, but she really hasn't tried to take it yet. Maybe she's just studying maybe she's studying the habits of the leaders, try to maybe telegraph a move later on in the race. You don't want to show your cards too early.
She lost the lead to second to Nihale down here in turn 2. Oh, and she slips wide. That's gonna let Delad slide in, try and make a move here.
Yeah, it'll be a drag race between those two down to turn 5.
16 will have the inside lane though. 16 will have better lane.
Delad did have the better runoff, but we'll see. The 16's able to pull here.
16's doing a great job side drafting that 55 and staying with her.
Still side by side, but the 16 will have the inside on both corners here. Not as good of an exit though. She's gonna tuck behind the 55.
Yep, slides behind. Got to move here potentially between Alicantes and Stoneman.
Was looking around but couldn't get the exit either.
Kind of a home race for Emery AWSCO. I mean, she's from Illinois. She's not from Wisconsin, but you know this is pretty close to where she's from. So you could say she's
watch the 22 bull breaking into 8 there.
55 slips a little wide in the carousel. 16 might be able to take that back. 39.
Running up high. She get it stopped. Yeah. No harm, no foul. Just a few positions, but
she'll lose a few positions, but I mean, obviously that can be much worse.
These two fighting for second has let the 64 run away a little bit. I think it's about a couple of seconds between her, the 64 and these two cars now.
Yeah, those two she's kind of driven away just a bit. I think the 16's faster than both. I think the 16's faster than the 64. Just she can't really find the proper place to make the move. She's not being all that aggressive. Well, there she goes.
Now trying to take second back from Delad.
I spoke it into existence. And will she get it? Yes.
Yeah, she looks like it.
55 got a decent drive off.
Yeah, there's a lot of runoff to make. Kind of just run off here to kind of get a good throttle on here, but there's not as much room here. We'll see if the 55 is able to hang on. Looks like she's able to do it there.
Looks like the 55 held pretty well.
Good work by Delad getting that run out of turn 3. She'll have the inside here. We'll see if she can defend it.
Decent drive off for Jetta here. And Delad will drop back in behind. But those two battling has cost them quite a bit of time.
Oop, here comes the 55 back to the inside.
Fighting back.
Great fight for second, at least.
16 runs in the sand. 55 gets the spot
13
back.
13 does the same.
13
Delad will take second back there. I see back here at the edge of the top 10. But that's let Jocelyn and Ihale here just run off. I mean, look at the gap. I think the gap's doubled again. It's up to 4 seconds now, and that's let the 10 and 18 catch up to second and third.
Oh, 98.
Darsharaj run well wide. I see another car in the.
That was the 82.
82.
Oh, the 98's done.
Done. That
car is done. She's gone
hard
into the
hit.
Carousel very hard.
See what happened to the. I think we want to see what happened to the 82
the 82 as well has quite a bit of damage.
But on the other side,
that looks like a toe.
That's like a bit of damage to that same side. We'll see if it's from a similar incident. Yes. Oh yeah, just the same kind of thing. Yep, just drove it into the tires.
Just drove it in too hard.
That's 3 cars now.
That's 3 cars we've seen drive it in too hard in the tires and cost them the race, and that's going to be a theme here. That carousel's very tricky with these cars. With the way the wind's blowing, it's going to be very difficult for them to continue to make up ground while not overdriving it through the carousel. And
meanwhile, Alacantes and Stoneman here are continuing their fight for fourth place. These two have been at it for pretty much the entire race, I would say.
Yeah, the lead's up to 3.8 seconds for Nihale.
Here we go, Stoneman's looking again.
Stoneman trying to dive to the inside on Alacantes now. Alacantes is able to stay clear, though.
A bit more side-by-side action here. That's Jukovic and Javida. Right behind Taylor Happerman, who's been pretty consistent at these road courses. I think she's finished the top 15 both times.
They got to move.
Double check there.
Here comes Njeta trying to take second again.
Looking, but I think the 55 was able to close the door enough to prevent her from getting side-by-side.
Now the 16 is going to try the same move the 55 pulled on her before. Oh, 55 goes very wide. And Njeta will clear for the second position. And now Delot will have to fend off the 18 here.
Yeah, this hopefully lets Jetta kind of focus a little bit on catching the 64 now, instead of fighting these cars off. Odd's gonna keep herself ahead of the 18 for now. But yeah, going back on the point of Happerman, she has pretty good finishes at the road course so far. 11th and 6th at the 2 road courses we've gone to so far this season. So
yeah, and in that Willow Springs race, she actually she went a lap down in that race, got the free pass. She had a little bit fresher tires than the rest of the field, and she actually drove her way back.
Yeah, watch out behind the 16. We got the 18 actually passed the Delod for third there, like at a Canada corner.
Alacantes, probably one of the best road racers in the series, comes from Mexico, and you know, with the road course swing that's coming up in a few weeks, you know, we got Kentucky and Charlotte in the next 2 weeks, and then after that, it's 5 road courses in 6 races for the Cup Series. This is a good learning test for these drivers to see where they are on the road courses and where they can improve. This is a track that's kind of like all the road courses, just kind of put in one. And I mean, for Perry Alicante, she's a great road racer, and you know, they're going to her home country in Mexico City in a few weeks, so this is a pretty promising run for Alicantes right now. She is really closed up on the 16.
Now that 18 looks particularly fast.
I would say the 64 looks solid right now. I wouldn't say she looks like she's the fastest car, but I'd say she looks fairly solid. There's a battle for the 10th position. Hanstrom's trying to take it from WESCO. We got Taylor Happerman here fighting with Jukovic. Hanstrom tries the crossover into turn 7 here.
Pushed WESCO out just a little bit. See if she can. We'll see if WESCO can hang on through 8 though. She has the inside.
Yeah, but this line into the carousel may be a little bit better. These 3 cars getting all messy over here.
Hanstrom still on WESCO's bumper. What position is that for? Because Hanstrom
That's for 10th.
Started way out back. She started in 28th. That's a good run for the 19 already. Moving up the pack. Just picking off drivers one by one. Same with Garnstone right behind her. She started in the same row.
Yeah.
27th place.
Garnstone and Hanstrom, both of those were the top 2 at Bathurst.
Yes, they were.
You know, the interesting thing with how long this track is, lap times are going to be, you know, you're going to be measuring lap times in the tenths of seconds. In fact, sometimes maybe even in the seconds range. But the 16 and 64 ran almost identical lap times. The 16 was a tiny bit faster, but
tire wear hasn't quite kicked in yet. Although we'll see if these drivers are just saving a little bit, just making sure not to Not to burn up their stuff too early. It can be rather taxing on these tires if you try to push it too hard. You
Well,
get
also
a lot of left
remember,
turns.
Road America has gone under resurfacing fairly recently, so
Oh, true.
tires aren't going to wear out as much as they would have, you know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, staying pretty steady, just kind of in that high 3-second range.
I wonder if the 18 is faster than both the 16 and the 64, because that 18 is really, Alicante's has really moved through the field. We are starting to approach, you know, the way it is these cars only have about 20 laps of fuel.
Yeah. 21 coming in there, I think.
It's something like 20. It's like 19 to 21.
19 to 21 laps. All right, that seems about
So
right.
they'll probably two-stop. They might three. They might. This could turn into a fuel mileage race if we don't get a yellow. But I wouldn't count on that in AWSCO. Still, it's been a very smooth race so far. Only a few cars retired, and it's all been single car incidents that have forced the retirements out of Ajar Saragiria and Barino, as they've just overcooked the carousel. And the 93 of Tosima appears to be a fourth one.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Don't even need to watch the replay because you can probably guess what happened. $62 laps tonight today from Road America. That makes up 400 kilometers, which is it is very impressive how long this track is and how much this track takes on these drivers. Wow, that was a big cut in from Njeta. She gained almost a second on Nihil that lap, 2:06.4 to a 2:07.3. And that's the kind of lap time that's honestly fairly normal you'll see being gained. Just because this is such a huge, long track. Imagine if you were 4 miles long.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I haven't thought of it yet. 18 gave the 16 a little bump into turn 3, or into turn 5 there.
Yeah, 18's keep looking around trying to find a way past the
18's. I think the 18's faster. I think she's just trying to show. She's just trying to tell her that she's faster. 10 car also really trying to push, trying to get to the 55 here. I think Delad's holding up some of these cars as well. Stanley Ramerston still sitting 6th. Andrea Davison has moved up through the field a fair bit. The Canadian driver. See if the Canadian tries to make a pass on Canada corner.
We'll see what kind of runs these cars can start getting. You do know the packages on the road courses here in this series tend to favor high drag, so might see some decent runs down to Canada corner. 22 got really close. Maybe use the bumper a little bit, try to shove Ramerston out of the way. But
yeah, the high drag package, they've done a good job because the high drag package has given them a lot of momentum to get down into the corners. But they've done a great job with this package in making it high drag so you can draft up on cars, but not so bad that you lose everything once you get too far back. Davison is now going underneath the 32. The 93 is coming back out. She is not done for the day. That's surprising. I don't think I've seen a car get into the barriers like that and actually be able to get back out. Two and a half seconds now, the gap between Njeta and Ella and Nihil. It was 2.9 last lap, so Njeta did gain about half a second there.
Yeah, gap seems to be closing the lap.
The gap
pretty
is closing,
consistently.
and that's while Andretti's being hounded by the 18. So I
Maybe
think
that's why the 18 hasn't made a move yet. Just try to drag both of them closer to the lead.
I think she looked to make a move there, and it kind of cost her a little bit. I'm very curious as to where the 16 is gaining that time on the 64. Because the 16s definitely looked like the faster car for a while. Just she got mired back behind the 55 for a bit. She's had to battle a bunch of cars up here. There's Amika Harina, who's last car running on the lead lap. The 93 is actually the last car running, but she's 2 laps down, so. There's been a lot of on-track action, but I think what will be very interesting is once we get to that pit stop, once we start seeing that strategy kick in, we're going to see a whole load of different things happen once the strategy kicks in.
Gap down to 2.06 now.
You're 2.06, and Jetta's doing a pretty solid job, cutting out about half a second each lap here on the 64.
Yeah.
Fastest lap right now actually belongs to the 17, Dira Reister. She's got the NordVPN fastest lap, 205.9. 0.921.
Yep, first driver I think we've seen drop into the 205, so.
Yeah. You see the Sargento Bridge, which has the namesake sponsor of this race. They like their cheese in Wisconsin. You know that?
Yeah, I've heard of such.
They sometimes call them the cheeseheads, which sounds a bit like a slur sometimes. But,
Oop, 18 ran wide again there. Trying to make something work at that corner. I don't know if that's where you want to make a move.
I mean, there's been a couple drivers that have made moves work there.
Yeah, but I think
I think she just hasn't been close enough to make it stick there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need to be close. You need to be closer in the turns beforehand. You should be to make a move into that corner work. I think.
And Jetta's definitely closing, and I think now she might get a little bit of the draft on that 64.
Yeah, once she gets closer, she'll start getting more of the draft, and she'll just start being dragged into that 64 basically. Plus, the 18 seems to have taken off a little bit of pressure, especially with the last few mistakes we've seen from her. So, 16's...
Yeah, Alacante's has made a fair few mistakes lately.
Yeah, I think that leaves 16 just a bit more free to focus on her laps.
There's Reister getting around Waterton.
Yeah, that'll be for 8th.
And that's a bunch of cars coming to pit road.
Never mind.
Everyone down pit road. Well, okay, that's a bit surprising.
Alright, so this will be a 3-stop, I think.
This will definitely be a 3-stop. Looks like everybody's come down the pit road. And literally everyone.
Yep, here we go. It'll be like this will be like a caution pit cycle almost, with cars coming in this regularly. It's the 93 staying on, she's multiple laps down.
She's a few laps down, so.
And these cars are all so far back that I think they'll filter in behind the 64 here.
Order's going to remain the same for the top 5.
But the gap is a lot smaller though.
Actually, the 10 jumped to 55.
16 is now right on the 64's rear bumper.
Yeah.
Here we go. We've seen this before. We'll see if Andretta is able to make a move early on. That tire's just a little bit cold.
Cold tires. This might be the perfect time to take advantage of that, though.
Yeah, agreed with that. Here we go.
There she goes. Looks to the inside into turn 5. Down the marine sweep. Into turn 5. Looks the 16 for the race lead here in Road America.
64 just was able to stamp on the brake a little later, I think. Just that a little bit
16's
better on
gonna
exit as well.
Slot back in here, but we'll see if the 16 tries the same move she did on the 55, where she dives it in here in turn 7. Nope.
And not close enough to do that. And Nighale's able to fend her off for now.
For now. That's
Still
the key word.
Yeah, a lot of places where you can make moves here. Watch out in Canada corner. That might be the next spot that Enjetta is gonna plan out a move.
It's like pretty much everybody came to pit road. I think literally every car came to pit road. Eddie, what did you get? What did you have for the pit stops?
So from what I understand, everyone who was in sort of this main group went on pit road because I think one team was really concerned about tire wear, especially in that large right-hander where people kept sliding off. I think people were really concerned about tire wear. So one team chose to come in early, and I think it might have been a team like Atlantic Racing, because a lot of teams heard about it and switched up their strategies in order to work with Atlantic strategy, hopefully trying to get their cars to catch Nihale and not end up a couple of laps down or worse, a couple more seconds back should they elect not to have pitted with Atlantic. So possibly one team running the strategy, which means maybe we have one team with an advantage. I am unsure whether it was Atlantic Racing that determined this strategy, but it certainly was a big ruckus over some teams switching up their strategy so that they could hold with these guys and not have some pit problem in terms of the pit cycle. Back to y'all.
We had a change for the lead. Sky and Jetta made the pass stick in Canada corner, and the 16 is now out front.
Yeah, we mentioned Canada corner, and that's exactly where the 16 made the move. But I don't think the 64 is given up yet. She's closed back in, and we might see 5 cars now in this lead pack.
There's 5 cars just all kind of bunched together right now. I think the 16's a little bit better on corner. I think the 16's just cornering better right now than the 64, though.
Yeah, got a little bit of a better exit there out of 7. Watch the
55 looks to the... I was going to try to make a move on the outside of Stoneman. Be careful, make sure you don't slide off the track here if you're Delod. If you're Nihale now, what are you focused on? Are you going to try to focus on getting that lead back, or are you going to try to keep the... Or would you rather focus on keeping the 18 behind you?
I mean, you could do both, but you gotta be careful about it. I think right now you just gotta focus on the 18. We saw the 18 was kind of rather error prone when she was looking to get past the 16. Maybe just try to kind of unsettle her.
The 32 might have...
A little bit of front end damage, yeah.
The 32 I think might have had... Oh yeah, she did go off.
Went off, got a little bit of contact, but not. I don't think not enough to really.
Not enough to kill it, but that might be an extra stop for that 32 car.
Okay, we might have to bring it back in. We'll see. 64, yeah, taking some defensive lines against the 18.
18 slid wide. 10 car got out of shape trying to not run
wide
in 18. Here we go. Here comes Delod to the inside. 3 wide down the front straightaway at Road America.
Well, I mentioned that maybe unsettling the 18 was the right way to go, and that seems to be what Nihale did, as we see these 3 cars now fighting for third. Who's going to go where? 18's going to run and take as much track as possible. It looks like Stoneman's going to win for now, but here comes Delod to the inside.
This is a great battle for third.
Delod might get a 2-for-1 here.
Yeah, 32 did come down pit road.
Yeah, best to check on that car. I think it's just gonna make sure that nothing gets too damaged, or also going through the gravel trap's gonna get a lot of random ends and odds into the engine. You don't want things getting into parts of the engine that'll cool off the car. You don't want a car overheating because of a bunch of gravel in the inside.
Here's a fight for the 8th position. That's Handstrom trying to take the spot away from Waterton.
Yeah, Handstrom just continuing her march up the field. Doing so slowly and steadily. She's
slow and methodical. She just sticks to the outside on the 13 here.
Yeah, did really well on the braking there. Managed to get herself side by side as a bit of dirt
I think
kicked
the
up
dirt
there.
I think that's still from the 32.
Probably, yeah.
1.19 is the gap between Angetta and Nihil, and that looks like it might be increasing.
Yeah, because it looks like the well, we saw what happened to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and I think we'll see if the 64 by herself has the pace to keep up with the 16.
Yeah, well, 3rd, 4th, and 5th have all slid back a fair bit, and that might actually drag Davison up to these three.
Yeah, Davison doesn't look too far behind them. Let's see a second battle for 3rd crop up because of that.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Shout out Abby Little up into 16th position.
Yep, that's a driver who started down in 35th.
Yeah, she's made her way up through the field. There's Larry Schliesenbach and Rachel Cole fighting there. Marisha Vebelst, 30th place. She started dead last, so I mean a gain of 10 positions.
A couple of cars coming in.
One
second
car in the
time.
20.
One car's coming in.
92.15. I think those cars might have stayed out a little long because they pitted for damage.
Maybe.
So I think
Oh
that
yeah,
might
yeah,
be-
true. That's true.
So they're already a little off cycle. But it appears like the fuel window is about more like 15 laps here.
That's
Well,
gonna be
that
tight.
might be the tire window.
That might be the tire window. Yeah, I was gonna say if the fuel window is 15 laps, that would mean a stop in lap 60.
That would be a 4-stopper, yeah.
Let's see. They're probably trying to stretch it on that last run.
Yeah. Well, they can make it on fuel.
Yeah.
They would be able to
I think
make it
they'll
on the
stretch.
fuel.
Yeah, I think they'll stretch it on the tires to make it on that last run.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like the 64 just does not have the pace to keep up with the 16.
Yeah,
And I think
the-
we're seeing that because we're seeing the 55 close in on her, and the 55 was not that much faster than the 16 either.
Yeah.
In fact, she
54 a
might
bit
actually
wide.
lose it right here because here comes the 55 looking to the inside on the exit of the carousel.
They'll be side by side here.
Into the kink.
55's gonna kind of rather wisely back out. Try to go side by side into the kink is not exactly a great idea.
She might try it in Canada corner.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit more advisable, I think. She has the run to make it work. Here
Yep,
we go.
Here she goes. She
backed out.
backed off.
Maybe just didn't feel as confident about the brakes there. 64 is gonna hold on to second for now, but the 55 is still right behind her.
Now, these brakes aren't as good as in the NASCAR Next Gens. These AWSCO Next Gens are built a little bit differently, so they don't have as much braking power as you might see some of the other Next Gen cars have, but they still have a fair bit.
55 looking. Here
Now
we go.
she's going down the front straightaway.
Using all that, using that high drag package for what it's worth. We'll see if she can outbrake the 64 into one.
I mean, that's the thing, is that this is where the high drag package helps the most, is down these straightaways.
Yeah. Gotta hang on here. This is where you can really make the move stick. There's not much
And
room for
yeah.
the 64 to go.
She's going to do it, and the 10's actually going to try and take third here as well. The 64 slipped so far wide that the 10 car is going to try and drive through here now.
Stoneman's cleared already, and that's third for Audie Stoneman now. Meanwhile, Andrea Davison looking around, trying to take... This would be fifth from the 18 of Alacantes. Go, Davison to the inside.
She's actually going to hold...
Alacantes is going to have a
She's
that nice
holding a lot
exit, yeah.
better than a fair few other cars have held on the inside there, but she is going to back off and maybe try a bit of a crossover here into this corner. No,
Oh,
she
yeah.
tries to go the outside. And that
Yeah,
might
she-
actually...
That
no,
might work if that might work if she can hang on to it, but yeah, watch out for Stoneman though. Stoneman's now all over the back of the back of the 55.
yeah, Audie Stoneman looking pretty
The
looking
long run
pretty
a
strong.
little bit wide. Just about kept it on the asphalt there, but that's gonna help the 10 just that little bit more.
If you don't exit off the carousel very well, that'll let cars dive down on you into Canada corner.
Yeah, you really want to get a good exit because the penalty for getting a bad exit out of the carousel is really bad because you have all of this straightaway to deal with, and in this high drag package, we see the 22 of Davison look to the inside of Alacantes for fifth now. She'll make it work.
And that's the thing as well, is that the high drag package makes them a little more stable down the straightaways that curve a little bit. So you see moves. You're going to see more moves down the Marine sweep and through the kettle bottoms. That's why, because the cars, they have more drag, so they're more stable. We'll see what kind of lap time gain that these two have gotten, and it's a loss of 0.6 to the 16. And just the 16 and Jetta just looks really strong. I mean, whoa,
Ooh.
that's Malikson.
Wide. Pierce kept that
I think
up.
she's
well.
okay.
Mostly kept that up.
She's okay. Yeah, I think she's okay.
Nobody else is out of the race.
No, nobody else is out. 93 of Tosum has actually scored one lap down because when she pitted, she came back out and she hasn't pitted again. So
yeah.
21 laps caution free here from Road America, which I'm a little surprised, but I'm mildly surprised about that. But
yeah, we haven't seen them make. I haven't seen them make moves that were a little bit too ambitious. They've mostly behaved themselves with the dive bombs in 5 and 12.
Yeah, they've actually been fairly calm. To go 16 seconds back from the lead to get to 10th place Dara Reister. Fight between Ajavida and Happeman. You know, I think we'll see. I think the best point that we would see a jumble in the running order is if we get a caution and a restart. Mm-hmm. If we get a restart, there's going to be a lot of cars that I think are a little further back in the field that will get a really good opportunity to catch back up, and maybe even move through the field and eventually challenge for the lead. I don't know if they're going to do that right now, but they could do it eventually, as we've got to move for fourth here between Davison and Ninehale, and the 22 car will take that fourth position away. And yeah, Delade closed that time, down to 1.9 seconds behind the 16.
Yeah, she caught up she did catch up quite a fair bit there. Let's see if she's able to keep that up. Just see the 93 of Toteman there, that shot.
Yeah, actually, that might...
With the lap car in the... Yeah.
That might be interesting. The lap car, the 93 is clearly not up to pace. Not even really close.
Yeah, a fair bit slower than these guys. If you see all our contests, I think the fending there from the 60.
Yeah, she ran a 2:08 her last lap, and the 16 ran a 2:06.8.
About a second and a little bit over a second.
About about a second off, which actually isn't that much at Road America.
Yeah.
Hey, Sky and Jetta's looking pretty strong right now.
Out here, all contests has dropped back to
this group.
To this group, yeah. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with the 18, but she is
definitely struggling with the balance a bit.
She looks like she's struggling.
That's letting AWSCO to her inside.
Here comes the 60, looking to the inside into the kink.
Ooh, thought about it.
She tried. Wonder if she'll go for it in Canada Corner.
Lost a bit of ground doing that, though.
Waterton's going to go for it before Canada Corner. Going to try and take this spot away from Handstrom. That's the 8th position. These two have been battling for that position for a good bit. 55 is really close.
55 is definitely closing. You can see it visually close, I think.
The 22 just ran the fastest lap of the race, that last lap.
Davison's on a mission here, trying to catch up to those top three.
205.596. That is easily the fastest lap we've ever seen.
Well faster than everyone else. Hey, there it is, 0.85.
That was a 1 second gain for Delade that
lap.
lap.
Is there. She's in the 16's toe now.
And she just ran the second fastest lap of the race that lap. With a 205.889.
Yeah, lap times are starting to tumble down. I think these guys have just gotten a bit more confident in their car, as we see 2x2 here.
AWSCO takes a spot from Alicantes. That's 6th to the 60 car.
Running white again.
Here comes Waterton. Well, Alcantes looked strong in that first run, but does not look strong on this one. Yeah, the 55 is...
It's right there.
She's
He's
there.
there.
I think I'm looking at that 22, though. That 22 is looking very interesting as to where she's running. This car looks really strong right now. Alicantes underneath Waterton. She's trying to battle to hang on to the 8th spot. Trying to hang on to 7th. She can't even do that. Here comes Hanstrom trying to go around the outside in the carousel. Hanstrom backs off. That's Alicantes' teammate.
And yeah, Alicantes just tumbling down the order here. Down to the
She's dropped back to 8th now.
Right, yeah.
And if Hanstrom's able to get by, that would be 9th.
She has quite
It's
a
a
bit
long way back to 10th.
long way back
though.
to 10th, though. Yeah, about another 7-8 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Houston is just slowly making her way up to this top 3.
That 22 looks really strong. The way she's able to run the corners is looked very, very strong. And, you know, for Davison as well, she's got a home track coming up as well on the schedule.
55 shaved
Mosport.
off a couple tenths again.
I can't wait to see Mosport with this high drag package as well. I mean,
yeah,
Mosport's already great as is, but
Yeah.
with the added drag, that's going to bunch everybody up even more. You're starting to see the 93 appear in shot. And yeah,
55 is on a bumper now.
55's on her
Yeah.
bumper, but the 22 is on even more of a mission.
Yeah, he's really got her car hooked up in this run.
Davison just kind of pressuring Stoneman right now. Those are two teammates, so I don't think they're going to rough each other up.
At least not too much. You don't want to do anything too rash.
Yeah. Little bit of a slow exit for the 22 there on the 10. 55's kind of trying the same thing here on the 16. I don't think she's close enough to make a move though. I think the 55, if she's going to make that move, it's going to have to come in turn 14. At least
Yeah,
if
I
she's
think
going to
so.
make it right now. It's going to have to either come in turn 14 or turn 1. Well, Jetta has finally taken the lead. And Jetta finally took the lead after a while of trying to get it. Now here we go. Here's a fight for third. Davison looking to the inside on Stoneman. Those two are going to be side by side down the front straightaway. Are we going to see Delade make a move? And the 64 is off. I think the 64 has had some sort of issue. 55 looking inside.
Yeah, I don't see damage on a 64, so that looks like a technical. That seems like a technical issue. Yeah. If she stop on track, that'll be important to note. Oh,
Oh.
no, she was just. Oh. No, she was slow. Yeah,
She was very slow.
It was very
This is
slow.
in the carousel, but this is in a completely different position. She's very slow. I'm not sure what happens there.
13 might
Oh,
have
the
run into her.
13.
Yeah, there it is.
13 runs into her.
Just stops on the right in half of the grass, half on the racetrack there.
And AWSCO officials have decided that that is caution worthy.
Here we go. They're running. They'll get a race for the lead here. 55 is gonna try to steal it away right as we come to the caution. Jetta and Delade side by side, and Jenna on the inside. Delade doing well to outbreak the 16, I think. And cleared. Delot takes the lead.
Delad's clear. She's got it. She's got it.
We'll see if the 16. She's looking. She tried to
tried.
retaliate. Tried to retaliate immediately into 7 there.
Couldn't do it though. 13 of Waterton. Where'd she go? I think she also.
No, she's still on track. You went past her, I think.
Did I?
Yeah. No, actually, yeah. Where did she go?
She's out.
Oh, he's out as well.
She's out as well. Okay, well that apparently did enough damage to take her out.
55 now going down the backstretch. Managed to gap the 60 out quite a fair bit. Should prevent any bold moves into Canada corner. And that's a lucky break for the 93 as well. She gets to
if the
stay
93
a lap down. She'll be on the lead lap at
If
the
she
end.
can stay ahead of the 55 here, that would put the 93 back on the lead lap.
Yeah. It was only a matter of time until she got lapped again. So really good break if she can just hang on for one more corner.
And she will. She's well out front.
She's well ahead.
So the race back to the caution flag. Bria Delade holds the lead as they come back to the caution. They'll catch up to the pace car here. Pace car has to wait a long time before they can they catch up to her, to it. So. '64 Nihale stops on track after spinning. She did not get back going, so that brought out the caution flag for the first time today on lap number 25. We made it 25 laps. We made it 25 laps. We made it over 100 miles without a caution.
Yeah, a pretty long stretch of green flag racing, and that was.
That's kind of how road courses tend to go, to be fair.
Yeah, true.
You don't need to throw the caution.
Very often, yeah. And despite that, we had plenty of racing up front. A lot of movement at the front. Got a couple lead changes as well, so good quality racing.
Looks like the 64. Is she back going? Yes,
Back
the
on track,
64 is back going. I believe she's gonna be a lap down, but she is gonna rejoin the track. Cautions are very, very long here, so this is absolutely a two pace lap track. Where the 64, because the 64, technically she got a pit stop in, so if everybody comes to pit road, the 64 theoretically could stay out, take the wave around, and get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, I think so.
Eddie, what happened to the 64? Do you know?
I'm down right now in the 64 pit box. Just got a look at the. I am actually standing right next to the tire that caused this caution, and let me tell you, you can see the rim from the tire tread, and that's how much the tire tread that got ripped off. There's so much rubber off, you can see the metal inside. That's how bad it is. It's clear that's why she came to an immediate stop. That car was not going anywhere. And for a team that supposedly had a strat trying to minimize tire wear, trying to ensure their cars don't get taken out in the carousel, that's really unfortunate that the race for that car has to pretty much get a very big disadvantage thanks to a tire just completely imploding in on itself. Back to y'all.
Well, we'll see if they come to pit road here. I imagine they will.
Couple cars at the back.
Mixed strategy here.
Interesting.
Cars at the front chose to stay out. Cars at the back have come to pit road.
Oh, this is gonna make things intriguing now.
Yeah. There's a few cars. Yeah, it looks like the top 7 chose to stay out.
Yep, and a few cars at the back of the lead.
Two cars in
well
the
to gain
middle of the
track
pack.
position. Yeah.
Gonna get some track position. I mean, might as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that means the 64 is not going to be able to... The 64 is not going to be able to take the wave round, so... Well, we're pretty close to halfway. We're not at halfway. I believe that would be a lap... That'll be a lap 31 once we get there, but... I'm sure there will be a lot of thoughts in the FanDuel fan studio at the halfway break in this one.
Definitely a lot to take away from this race so far. Lots to take from the racing itself, and we've also had quite a few. Of course, we've had the issues with the carousel, but it seems like there might be a couple of notes on strategy as well now that we've seen the field kind of split itself on fuel now.
Okay, let's hope the 93 doesn't plow it into anybody under pacing here. Well, I spoke too soon, I guess. Okay, so Delade won the well, she didn't win the race out, but she holds on to the lead. And Jetta, Stoneman, Davison, Wesco, Alicantes, Handstrom, Reister, Jukovic, Happeman, the top 10 right now. 35 cars are on the lead lap.
And what, Reister, I think, is... Who's the first car on new tires? Is it Reister?
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, a couple of
Okay, I lied. The running order is actually Delade and Jetta, Stoneman, Davison, Wesco, Alicantes, Handstrom, Cole, Yoniga, Talberson. I believe the first car on fresh tires is the 17, and she's back here.
Yeah, I think the 32 was the last car on the lead lap, so at the time of the caution.
Yeah. I believe the 17 is 22nd, and she's the first car on fresh tires. So we'll see how much fresh tires are a benefit. All right, pace car is going to come off this time. We're going to go green here. His caution is about caution lap's about 4 minutes long. All right. Haven't seen a single file restart yet here. How do they do? Green flag.
And Jetta already making moves there.
Yeah, Delade did not get a jump.
Moves.
Everyone's going all over the place here.
3 wide, Handstrom to the inside.
And Jetta's trying to fight back on Delod here. Lost the lead to her, but she wants it back. Can't get it, though. Look at this all over the place back here.
These are some of the slower cars that stayed out. Look at Reister go.
There's Reister on the bottom. We're going to see what new tires are worth. She restarted 22nd.
Already got past the pair of Atlantic cars. Now looking at the 15.
This is
Ooh,
the stack up. This is the stack up zone. Right there, the 15 got really deep and ran into the 23, and I think the 17 might have made a little bit of contact as well. Cole, a little wide.
A couple of cars running out wide there.
39 ran a little wide there on the exit of 7. Davison
over
hanging on
here,
the third.
round the carousel.
'15's got a fair bit of front end damage there. So does the 17 actually. '99 a bit slow. I think she had a bit of a I think she just didn't. I think she had a bad exit off one of those corners.
Probably down the King. That seems to be one of the suspects. You want to stay outside. You have to lift quite a bit more if you're on the inside of that corner. That seems to take away a lot of speed as you head down to Canada corner. Over up front though.
Here's the fights up
Still
front.
Delod.
Still Bria Delod. Here's a big battle.
Wide.
There's a car coming down pit road. Oh, that's the 15 and 23. They're both coming down. It's not surprising we saw those two run into each other. Jamie McJasmine in the 6. She's in 10th now. Look at that.
On the other hand, I will say for some of the cars that stayed out and maybe got a bit of damage, it might not be as bad considering we were already at the end of the tire window, I would say for the cars that stayed out. So
yeah,
at worst it seems to
the cars that stayed out, they're probably going to be.
They're gonna have to pit pretty soon, I think.
They're going to have to pit fairly soon, probably sometime between lap 31 and 35.
Yeah,
that's about as far as you can take the fuel at least. Here we go. Move for 4th. There's Handstrom on Stoneman.
Handstrom looking around the outside here. If
she actually held with. She
She's
held with the 10.
Yeah,
here.
that'll give her the inside into 8. Good work there.
Did she get cleared? Yes, she did get clear. Now I just got to make sure she holds on to it in the carousel.
Top 3 holding steady, and Handstrom up to 4th now. Really
Handstrom
good
up
run.
to 4th.
Really good restart from her.
How about McJasmine in 9th?
Yeah, McJasmine had to stop, take off that rear bumper there, but has mostly been on cycle now.
Yeah, she's on cycle. Well, she's on cycle now, and she stayed out with these cars, so
93.
93's back down pit road. That might be from the damage that she got when she ran into the 26 under yellow.
Still Delod and Jetta and Davies in your top 3.
It's a mess
It's
back
a mess
here.
back here, yeah. Kind of a mix of cars.
93's back out.
He's gonna come back out, I think, right next to them, basically, right on top of this group.
15 of Tolaron is retired. She just straight dropped out.
That's the 93's held up the 19. That's gonna let
the 10 get by. Here comes the 60 of AWSCO.
That's really going to help this top 3 because look at this mess.
Wow.
Handstrom found her way back to the inside of Stoneman, pushed by AWSCO. You try to get past Tosim at the same time. I think if you're one of those cars in the top 3, you'll be thanking yourself that you didn't have to deal with this a few laps ago.
Yeah.
If we hadn't got that caution, this would have been exactly what we would have seen with those front 3 cars. Kind of struggling to get around Tosama here, and his cars are going everywhere.
Yeah, try not to run into that 93.
A lot running off for now, as Davieson's now starting to catch the 16.
I think Davieson might have a really good look on the 16 here. I'm curious as to what it's going to come down to strategy-wise, because these cars at the front, I believe, have to pit twice. But I believe these cars that just pitted now also still have to pit twice. I guess maybe they could one-stop it.
Maybe.
They could try. But you'd have to extend both of the windows out pretty long.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, look at the 22 right on that 16. See if she tries to make a move into 1.
Definitely has the speed to do it.
Yeah,
I think she's close
there we
enough.
go. She's
Yeah,
looking
she
to
does.
make a late lunge.
Very late.
Gonna
See
hang
if
on
it pays
side by
off.
side. He's gonna try to send it into 3 here. Seems to be the popular move to kind of just send it into 1 and hang on until 3.
See if you can get it through into turn, and see if it goes that long, you know, you'll have the outside in turn 5, which has been a little bit better on drive off.
Yeah.
Jetta's staying with her though.
Jetta doing a good job. It's gonna come down to getting the brakes through on into 5, and I think the outside just has a little bit more advantage in braking, I think. That seems to be the case. That extra little bit of runoff helps these cars.
Yeah, it looks like I think the 22 just has better drive off.
Yeah, we haven't seen anyone be too bold and try to push the car on the outside into the and try to force them to use as much of the track as possible there. There's certainly the room to do it. We haven't seen anyone try it yet. See a bit of dirt kicked up by one of these cars.
10 slip back a little bit. She's actually dropped behind AWSCO and Cole now. McJasmine up in 8th. There's her teammate Yanaga in 9th. Valicia Vancy running 10th right now.
Yeah, good work by those 2 Southwest cars to get themselves up, get some track position. See if that pays off come the end of the race. About the cars that came in, we'll see how they're doing.
The top car that came in right now, I believe that's the 31 of Happeman. She's up into 15th. So she restarted back in 23rd, I believe. So she's gained a little bit, but I don't think she's gained as much as she wanted to with the fresh tires. The 93 is pretty much a moving chicane right now.
Yeah. She goes blocking the 20.
42 and the 39, Gennaro and Talberson both.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Leaders all coming in.
Down pit road. Leaders are down.
Except for the 6.
6 car is going to stay out on the extra lap.
Who did have those extra laps. If anything, that really helped her. That caution really helped her because it kind of reset her track position. She lost a lot of that by coming in early, of course. But since then, she's that gap's been nullified, and now she finds herself in the lead of the race.
Yeah, she's got the lead. Valicia Vancy sits 2nd, then it's Yatica. Happeman now 4th.
Yeah, that's our first car on the.
There's Polsitter Harina, actually in the top 5 now.
And pretty much all of these cars here.
55 wins the race out. Then it's the 22, 16.
Ooh, contact
Contact
there.
with the 32 and 10. 19 gets out. 60, 10, 52, 46, 18. So yeah, a bit interesting to watch the strategy. This is kind of playing out kind of how Bathurst did.
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know, you had a couple competing strategies, seeing if those strategies were going to be the ones that won the race or not.
Yeah.
It was the 96 of Angeli Rugatino who took 2 tires on a late stop, and she actually managed to ride it to, I think, either a 3rd or a 4th place finish in Bathurst. But there's the leader right now, the 6 car of McJasmina.
Yatica here looking to make a move on the 64.
Yep. This is not
So notably another car without a rear bumper.
This is not a lead. That's not a lead lap battle. That's not
Because,
that's not a battle for position.
Yeah, because 64, of course, was well, of course, lost that had that tire down, but she's now
She had a
near
tire
the
down and
front.
lost a lap. She's now
Near the front, track position wise, I would say.
yeah, track position wise.
It's the 17, another one of those cars that took that came in under the caution. See if McJasmine stays out here. Looks like she will.
Yep. So she will officially lead this lap and pick up a bonus point. I think what McJasmine might have actually done, she might have pitted right before. She might have pitted right at the caution. And you know, that's why she was able to stay out
Maybe.
and hold the lead here. I don't know though.
Well, remember she came in to get take the bumper off early on, like 2 or 3 laps in, right?
Yeah.
So I think that staggered her strategy out just a few laps later.
Yeah.
So I think she's probably going to be at least be able to do a couple of laps more before having to come in.
Yeah. Something like that.
Did the one stay out under that caution, or did she come in?
She stayed out.
She stayed out. Okay, so that's a driver who stayed out. 92, I'm pretty sure stayed out. So that leaves Happman
I
as
think
the
she
first
stayed
car.
out. Yeah, she stayed out. Yeah, Happman's the first car on fresh tires.
Yeah. Let me see where the 55 filtered out, actually.
I believe the 55 filtered out behind everybody.
Yeah, I just want to see what on track that is. Okay, there it is. Yeah, you can kind of see
Pretty
that.
decently far back.
Yeah, you can see the separation between this pack of cars and the cars who came in under green.
Yeah. I mean, these cars that pitted this last time, you know, so they pitted lap 27, right? You had 15 twice, that gets them to 57, but, you know, at the theoretical maximum, the tires can go to about lap... The tires can go to about lap... The fuel can go to about 20 laps.
Mhm.
If you give them 15 on their first cycle and 20 on their second, they could make it to the end just barely. 26.
Lots of damage everywhere.
That is...
Car was already damaged beforehand and got even more damage here.
Yeah, that's a classic. Rolled it too hard into the
There we go.
chicane.
6 is coming in.
6 is in.
1 stays out. She's going to try to
One car.
lead the lap and get some extra
Fancy will
points.
stay out.
31 coming
Happman's
in.
coming back in.
Okay. No, she did come in. Maybe she's just trying to...
She took left side tires
Left side
on the
only.
first stop. Okay,
Left
I think
side
a
and
lot of
one
these cars that came in that last time took left sides.
Interesting. Ooh, who's that car without... Oh, that's the 32, actually, without a front end. It's rarest than running without a front end.
Yeah.
I guess we're already starting to shed some bumpers here. As
Wow.
Felicia Vancy leads the way.
We've been shedding bumpers for a while. I mean, if you saw the car that was just leading the race.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see what the strategy card holds for these guys. Because now the 31 also came in.
Yeah.
That makes things interesting. I wonder if the 17 also came in. I think the 17 also did. Yeah, 17 came in and took
Right sides.
right sides. So
So that was a 2-tire stop.
interesting.
Yeah, they took 2
And
tires.
topped up again on fuel. So
Looks like Tapperman also took 2 tires. So I think that might have been a gambit.
maybe try to
Take left sides first time, take right side second time, and you'll cycle out
a little bit
ahead,
better off.
or
Yeah,
at
a little bit
least-
better off on this main strategy.
closer to these, at least closer to the leaders.
Yeah, position wise, maybe. Interesting. You're basically splitting the tire stop into 2 there and making sure you're kind of on the same fuel strategy as these guys, as the leaders, I would say.
Yeah. Well, we crossed halfway a few laps ago, about 3 laps ago. So we reached halfway a few laps ago. So I think that means that it's now time for everyone's favorite segment. It's going to be the FanDuel Fan Studio here from Road America. with Madison and Eddie. The one car of Vancy coming to pit road. So is the 92. So is the 34. Looks like the 71's gonna stay out. But Maddie, Eddie, you got me down there in the fan studio.
Yeah, we're ready for our 55% race report as it's turned out with these pit cycles and everything that's made this race so fascinating. You see, Abby Little there is going to inherit the lead by the looks of it. And you know what, Eddie? This has been a really entertaining race. We've had only one caution so far from what I've seen. We saw that 64 with the issue that you reported on, and then, of course, the subsequent consequences of that. And then we've had this good racing here. We've had passes everywhere. We've had cars close gaps, get by. We've seen everything today. What have you enjoyed most about this race?
Well, I mean, I think I've enjoyed the fact that despite this being a road course, we've seen, I guess, some good I mean, the 64 and the 16 battling was certainly a fun point. Now we're in a interesting pit cycle where I'm not really sure how things are going to play out. This has become the weird thing where, again, I talked about it, there was this interesting early strategy in terms of cars coming in a couple extra laps early, probably just to get some tire wear help. But here, I mean, with the 71 now leading, you've seen them started to diverge and start to make plans that'll hopefully get them to win in the end. But we have to see how those play out, which leaves us 30, less than 30 laps, but it's a lot of time left before something gets figured out. And yeah, what that means is you just gotta watch and wait and see if anything throws a wrench in anyone's plans, if anyone has prepared themselves best for it. So it's a strategy war, and I mean, I think we can tell that because Eva Jartharaj, who I would not shut up about, has fallen out of the top 10, and I don't think she's going to really have a chance to win this race. I think because just of the events that have happened on this track, as we see Arena Tosin is back in the pits again, that's not going to help that car. But yeah.
Yeah, certainly a lot to think about. As we've noticed, this track has been very challenging. And yeah, Abby Little, course leading. And the strategy, it's been a bit puzzling with that caution. Really shook things up as we see the 9 and I believe, the 27 as well comes to pit road, along with Youngwei Koo in the 38. So, yeah, the 93, as you mentioned, on pit road for quite a while, has had a menagerie of problems, was a lap down, and struck another car getting the free pass, and just been a day of attrition. Ajar Sharaj, we had some high expectations for, and we had a driver, of course, Brino, crash out of the lead, so really a race of attrition, even if there's only, 3-4 cars that are... Oh, we have a car stopped on track. That is the 21.
Oh, no.
And has gone to pit road,
oh
and
my
we have
gosh,
a
it
yellow.
happened again.
As I was saying, there is attrition, and that is another example. Even if it's not huge crashes like at Pocono, we have seen these moments where cars are out of the race, and that really shakes things up, and that is going to really meddle with strategy even more than it did already.
Yep, and
So,
even with...
how do you think this is going to impact things?
I don't know. I legitimately do not know, and I can't believe it. Even with Raksha not in the FanDuel studio, we live in a world where we cannot get away from a mid-race caution in the middle of this. I swear it happens every time. But yeah, that's going to be really bad for Amani Huandayo, a driver 25 points out of the cut line. Red Racing has had a race for sure, but man, that's going to really hurt her. And yeah, no, this is again where it comes into play. Are we going to see everyone just pit, throw on some tires? Are we going to see people willing to drop to the back and put on tires? Are we willing to see people who are going to do some crazy gas and go? Like, this is, with this caution now here, teams can take it so many different ways. I would say personally, it's impossible to figure out, like, what's the best strategy and therefore which team has the biggest advantage. This is the point where, as someone watching this race, you just gotta wait and see, especially with, I mean, a driver like Abby Little's out in front is gonna take the yellow flag here. Abby is 37th in points. She's only ahead of, I mean, a couple drivers who have like missed races. They're just generally not been good. She has one top 5 to her name. That happened at Phoenix. And other than that, she's been, I mean, I don't want to say a backmarker, but just a driver that cannot get consistent finishes at the front. And just like Robin Morales last night, she might have a shot at winning this race if she can figure out the strategy, if that MNC Racing team can figure it out. So anything can happen, and we're just kind of stuck in this place of, yeah, just waiting and seeing what teams are going to go for, because this is now critical. This is a flashpoint now. People got to figure out what their strategy is, what they're going to run with for the rest of the race, and how they're going to play this caution, as we are getting confirmation that yet another tire down. Maybe the strategy about the tire wear, I mean, I still think it was an Atlantic Racing idea, but maybe they were smart to start doing that, because it's not just the carousel now, as we've learned. It's people's tires being completely ripped off and forcing them to stop on the racing track. So
Yeah,
that's
really,
something
because
we have
there's
to
not
fix.
much room in that carousel to go ahead and stop off the track
No.
unless you're going to go into the gravel where everybody else has gone against their will, of course. And the carousel, it's high speed. You have throttle modulation. You have a sharp steering angle. It is going to be brutal on tires, whichever one it is, right front, right rear, left front, left rear. It will be tough on all of them. So it's easy to see why tire failure will happen in that particular section of the track. And the last caution, we saw mixed strategy. I think we will see that again here. And this is why I'm not being paid as a crew chief, because I don't know what decision to make right now. If I'm a front runner, I think I have to pit, but if I'm at the back, I might consider staying out. I really don't know. So, as far as FanDuel picks, it's going to be a really hard question. So, I'm going to burden you with making the first pick.
Well,
sorry.
It's not even a sorry. There's I'm in the same boat as you. There's not a single person you could say. I mean, you look at all the drivers right now. You know what? At this point, if you bet against it, I know Atlantic Racing has been having a race, especially with Nihil, but betting against Atlantic Racing in this race seems like a problem. So maybe Halley's Yukovic. I have the seat right in front of me. I'm gonna get her name right this time. Hold on.
I think Yukovic is right. Something of that sort.
Yukovic. I think it's the best thing to do is bet with the team that's been doing the best, and Atlantic Racing, outside of whatever happened to some of their drivers, has been doing the best. And if that car ends up the cleanest of the Atlantic drivers, it's a threat. So I'm just gonna say her for now.
You know, I'm going to mention Bria Delade, which she's in 7th right now, and strategy will affect that, of course, but she has been able to make a lot of moves throughout the race and has been able to run very strongly, and certainly being in the top 10 is not necessarily a bad position at all, and depending on how strategy goes, depending on how restarts go, it is not inconceivable for her to make her way up from 7th to the lead and perhaps keep that by the checkered flag. So we have been put in certainly an unenviable position if you like predictable races, but if you like some interesting, it looks like she's going to be the first car staying out, talking about Delade.
Wow, that's a crazy
so
prediction.
The front runners unsurprisingly coming to pit road, along with a few outliers in the back like Bansi and 27 who came down pit road not too long ago. But I think it's certainly conceivable that, if she can hold on old tires and if strategies work out the right way, Delade could be in the catbird seat right now.
You could be. You might have just made the craziest prediction of all time.
Commentator's jinx might be a commentator's blessing, but we still have plenty of time left to see if that's going to be the case.
Later, but yeah, I think with that, as pit cycles are going on, I think it's best if we throw it back up to the commentator's box. Echo and Rasha, you guys can finish this one out. How y'all doing?
You gotta do your FanDuel fan picks. Unless you did them already.
We did our FanDuel fan picks.
Oh, you did?
We talked about Delade and the Atlantic racing car that Eddie picked. It's time for you guys to do that, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Rasha, what's your FanDuel fan pick?
All right. Well, let's see here. The strategy game is all definitely been thrown out. It's gonna be all over the place. I think now kind of everyone's kind of on the same strategy, but all staggered on different laps. So I'm assuming everyone can make it on one more stop here. I'm gonna go with our Bathurst winner, the 19 of Arlen Handstrom. That's one car that's been pretty quick all day so far. We know that she can... This race is kind of panned out in the same way as Bathurst has, and that's a car that seems to have quite a lot of pace And I think Handstrom's with that win already this season, she's gonna be a bit more confident in terms of taking risks on strategy maybe, and kind of just being a little bit more bold, I think, in terms of trying to get that second win of the season. So I'm gonna be looking at her come the end of the race. How about you, Echo?
I'm going to take the 22 Andrea Davison. She looked really fast that last run. She looked like she was faster than everybody else. And I think that she's kept that speed here. I think the 22 is going to be the one to beat here in this one. So, Delade with the lead. Davison and Jetta, Handstrom, Yenfe Yanaga's up to 5th. Then you got Cole, McJasmina, Gennaro, Happeman, and Wesco. All 4 Southwest Racing cars in the top 10 right now. Great day for them, for a team that has not had a lot of luck this season.
Yeah, they've looked pretty sharp on the strategy game here, using strategy to get... Of course, the 16's been up here all day, but just using strategy to get the other 3 cars up towards the front of the field has definitely really worked well for them.
And as well, another thing to point out, Jocelyn Nihale actually cycled out back onto the lead lap because of where the caution was timed and where she was on the racetrack. She actually got a lucky break and got back in the lead lap because of where the caution when the caution came out. So the 64 has actually cycled back in the lead lap, and she could make up some decent ground now.
Yeah, and with that, I think pretty much everyone except for the car that brought out the caution, I believe that was the 21, are now on the lead lap.
Yep, the 21 is off the lead lap at the moment, and...
Where is she on track?
There she is. She's right behind the 9 here.
Ah.
And I believe that's behind 11th. So she just missed cycling. She just missed taking the top 10 wave around for any lap cars. We've not seen anybody take the top 10 wave around. Well, the restart last time for Delade was not the greatest.
Yeah, we saw the field fan out pretty quickly, and that kind of led to a bunch of cars making moves. And we saw the 19 of Handstrom make a lot of bold moves, send it 3 wide almost immediately. We'll see if she has this. We see more of the same from her this time around.
Well, the pace car is going to pull off. We will have... I need to do the math here real quick. 24 laps to go. There should be one more pit stop from everybody. To make it to the end on this one. All right, here we go. Green flag. We're back to racing in Road America.
Better jump this time from the 55. It took a little bit longer for
the 22 is still gonna go down to the still gonna dive bomb down to the inside.
Side by side, watch out for Handstrom as well, looking for 3rd.
Delade goes a little wide. Here comes Davison looking to the inside into turn 3. Handstrom trying to take 3rd away from Jetta.
Should be able to do it there.
Great run for Davison. Great run for Davison down the Moraine sweep here. But Delade's holding on the outside.
Watch out for Rachel Cole as well. She's tagged along with the 19, looking to get 3rd from her immediately here. Down the inside of 5. It's Delade and Davison side by side, two of the fastest cars in this race so far. 22, I think, is going to take the lead for the first time in this race, though.
Yep, that's the first time the 22's been out front, but the 55 trying to cross over into turn 7.
Trying to drive her off the track into the gravel there. Not going to make it work. 55's going to settle back in 2nd for now. As we see the 52 and 19 still side by side at 8. Heading towards the carousel we go. 2's taken the lead now, just about cleared the 19. Made it work, but it took a while for that move to stick. But look out for Yenfe Yanaga, though. She is tagged along with this group as well, as we see a whole gaggle of cars here. 6 and 42.
Been a big bunch up over here.
Southwest teammates, look at you! Young Hui Ku making a move. 38 tried to make it 3 wide at the kink. That was almost a disaster.
That was maybe a little too aggressive. Speaking of being too aggressive, here comes Marisha Vebels trying to take the 10th spot away from AWSCO up here in the top 10. Look at her.
Yeah,
Vebels started in the back, started in 40th. She's you know, she got involved in a bit of a stack up, had to pit, but with these cautions coming out, that's helped her get back up here towards the front.
I think she also used that kind of staggering of strategy to her benefit.
Yeah.
Like the 6 did as well. We see cars moving around here. 60, 42. Is the 99 going to go 3 wide? Well, the 60 is going to clear the 42 first. We see Vebels to the inside of Gennaro, and behind them it's Ku on Byrne as well.
Marisha Vebels looked very fast in practice here. Through most of the practice sessions and through most of testing here at Road America, that 99 was one of the fastest cars. But she had to start at the very back. She had a severe mess up on her qualifying lap. She went off track on her qualifying lap and had to start in 40th place. And she's moved her way up.
Look at for the number 8 though. The 34 is back up here to the top 10.
Yeah, Mika Harina. She had struggles. She's
been up and down the field all day.
Yeah, and she's battling with McJasmina for that 7th position.
Yeah, there's 2 drivers who've kind of been everywhere out on track today, and the way the strategies panned out, these 2 are looking at a top 10 run right now.
Here's a mix for 4th place. That might be Angetta trying to take a spot from Hamstrom. Looks to the inside in the kink.
Yeah, we've seen these drivers be a little bit more bold now. They're trying to make moves stick into the kink now.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Back. Yeah, it doesn't really work. You have to really get off throttle. You have to put on the brakes there, whereas you can, I think you can just lift off a little bit if you're on the outside. You really lose a lot of ground. If we see the 34 do exactly that. He was looking to pass the 6 and got passed by the 60 and might lose even more spots here.
Yeah, the 99's on her now.
Vebels, then
Gennaro fighting with Ku back here. That's for the 11th spot, as the 99 did take 10th away a couple laps ago. The 55 sticking with the 22 though.
Yeah, definitely not giving up on the lead just yet. These two have been up front all day. 55 spent most of the time up front.
How about Rachel Cole? Remember Rachel Cole? Pretty good run at Willow Springs. She finished 4th in that race.
Oh yeah,
that's her last top 10. That was her last top 10. Okay, that's not true. She got a top 10 at Bristol, but
she's had a bit of a rough go of things since then, I think.
Rachel Cole's been really good at these road courses, and I think that might stem from, you know, racing it in New Jersey Motorsports Park. But once again, she looks like she's in a great spot right now, in 3rd place. We got a battle here between AWSCO and McJasmina for 7th. Gianni McJasmina, one of the 3 drivers this season without a top 10. But looks like she's in the best spot to get one that she's been in it for a while. I mean, the last time we saw her really this close was Denver. She was in 3rd and she was battling for the race lead, but ran out of fuel late and had to pit.
Here you can see their Gennaro and Byrne fighting there. They were side by side through the carousel. Gennaro seems to have come out the best from that.
There's where Wandayo is, and remember she's off the lead lap right now because of her lip, because she had a tire go down. There's 10th place fighting Youngwei Ku fighting with Vebels for that. And Davieson's pulled out a little bit of a gap on the 55. AWSCO now looking underneath McJasmina again for 7th. This might be a very interesting battle. There might be a bunch of cars that flow into this one. 34 slips a little bit. 99's going to try to take 2 spots here. She got underneath the 38, and she might actually try and get around the outside on the 34.
Rita, yeah.
Can do it.
She's going to tuck behind her, but she might try to look to the inside.
She might try.
Might have to do that just to protect from the 38. Yeah, there we go.
3 wide,
3 wide.
Into turn 5.
That's going to really hurt both of them, though, because that's just going to give away the outside. The coveted outside line to the 34. They're still side by side. That's pushed the 34 out now. They kept it 3 wide, and that's actually going to work out well for the 99.
Or is it? 38 actually held with.
Held with 99, trying to close the door, but she can't. Here comes Koo back in.
Some great battling here.
They're still side by side, but now finally Youngwei Koo is able to clear the 99. That was an excellent little stretch of racing there. You see the 34 lost 3 more spots, actually, falling behind the 9 of Byrne. And this battle's going to continue on, I think.
55's closed back up on the 22. I want to watch this, though. I want to see...
99's kind of fallen back a little bit.
99's drifted back. I think she just had a bad exit from the kink.
That's going to let us focus on this battle for the lead. 22 and 55 back at it.
We're coming to 20 laps to go in this one. And, 20 laps to go may not seem like a lot, but...
At this track, it's a long way still. That's still
20 laps is 81 miles here.
Yeah, that's a third of the race at this track. We've still got a long way to go. Plenty of racing left. As we see Yanaga and Angetta here, pair of teammates going side by side.
That'll be the top Southwest car.
Yeah.
Looks like the 46 is going to take it here in turn 1.
It's been Angetta all day as the best Southwest car, but it looks like the other 3 cars have been kind of making moves. Now we see the 46 take that mantle for now. There's Gennaro, still just outside the top 10.
Yeah, she was battling with Stoneman, Byrne, and Vels there. Ooh, 55 tried to go to the outside. And look at this. This has dragged the 52 in.
Yeah, this has really helped Rachel Cole gain some ground as the 55 holds on steady.
55 went to the outside, and that's going to work, I think.
Just about. Ooh. We'll see what kind of runs the 22 kind of ran a little bit wide. That'll let the 55 close the door.
55's clear.
And the Lod's taking the lead back.
The Lod gets it back, but for how long?
We'll see if Davison can hang on to her through the carousel here. A good run, of course, can mean a lot.
Looks like the 17 came to pit road. They took a bit of the hood off. Nobody's retired, so I'm going to guess nobody stopped on track.
We'll see clear 3-way battle. Look at Handstrom just kind of hanging out back there.
Yeah, Cole has actually run these 2 down, and that 52 might be one of the best cars right now.
Mm-hmm. We talk about cars moving up, moving up the pack slowly, and the 52's also been one of those drivers. Definitely had a bit of help with the first caution, but otherwise she's been here with them. She's been able to hang on with them, and she finds herself up in 3rd within eyeshot of the leaders.
I mean, that's the thing, is there have been plenty of cars that have managed to just drive their way up to the field, regardless of whether it was via, caution flag, getting the right strategy through the cautions, or just plain driving their way up through. But we're seeing a lot of these cars that have pace are getting up here. Also, it won't be remiss on me that we had another yellow flag during the mid-race segment.
Yes, of course it was.
It always happens. It always happens then. When else would it happen? Looks like it's gonna be. It looks like
top 3 separated by just over a second, as we see.
This is a fair few cars fighting here. That's McJasmine. I believe she's trying to get back around AWSCO, and she's actually going to do it. And now Youngwei Koo's going to try to get around the 60. Those are teammates. That's the Gulf Racing cars.
2 Gulf Racing cars going at it side by side through 7.
This is about the furthest up I think I've seen Gulf Racing cars battling each other.
Yeah. trying to hang on to the outside, but Wesco's going to keep that inside line.
Here comes Vevelst.
Vettel slowly picking away at the field. Been sent out to the outside here, though, at the carousel. It's going to hurt our exit a little bit.
No.
No, doesn't look like it, actually. He's going to be right behind the 38. Good. That'll do a world of good to set up and move down into Canada corner here. Ooh, Vevelst and Stoneman all in this all under a blanket here. Will Vevelst make a move? Doesn't look like it.
She's too far back. I think even she realized that she was too far back.
Didn't try to.
Which is rare for Mauricia, but.
Rare moment of restraint by the 99 car. This is a pretty intense battle here. Right at the edge of the top 10 as a 10 runs wide. That'll let the 9
Here
through.
comes Carly Byrne through.
Carly
And
Byrne
the 21
Guggenero.
also ran a little wide. You know, it's just going to be a lot of patience right now, but also that final stop's going to be very interesting just because, well, we know they have to make another stop.
Yeah, there's at least one more stop.
At least one more stop. And for these leaders that that pitted very early, they pitted around lap 30. I mean, we don't know if they can go we don't know if they can go more than 15 laps on fuel because we haven't seen them go more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have the benefit of the caution. In theory, they should be able to run that long.
Yeah, I think so. They should have enough fuel to make it at least a few more laps.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to stretch it just a little bit more. See the 55 and 22 just kind of staying steady for now as here
There's the
lots more going on here. The 60's taking back 7th from the 6 as the 99 has to defend from the 38.
99's actually taking a spot away from the 38 here, and now the 9 might try and take a spot away as well.
Oh, yeah.
Carly Byrne trying to get up into the top 10.
Let's see how much grip she can find on that outside line. Let's tuck it in right behind
It just
the 38.
looks like...
Ooh, car running way off the track.
Way off the track. That's the 39. Talberson.
Kept it going. Looks fine to me.
Looks like she's okay.
We head back to the 9 and 38. Here we go. The 9's looking to the inside really early.
Coming down into Canada corner. See if she can make the move.
Ooh.
Yes.
38.
Push the 38 wide. The 42 went wide. I think the 42 kind of...
42 went wide in solidarity with the 38 there.
Yeah. Here comes the 71.
71 of Abbey. That's another car who started out at the back.
I remember the 71 actually had pitted on that last caution.
Oh, yeah.
So she's kind of on the drive through the... She's kind of trying to drive her way through the field, and... I mean, she's done a pretty good job of it. I think it was only about I think it was about 10 to 12 cars that came to pit road, so she was back in the 20s, and now she's just taken 12th from Gennaro, so... Fairly impressive, as Vevelst is closed up on McJasmina now for the 8th spot. And Davison is still all over Delod. I think these two are about equally matched on pace. '39 car came down the pit road. Looks like she's come down the pit road.
No damage repair.
No damage repair, yeah.
Interesting there.
4 tires and fuel, it appears.
Is that the limit then? This seems a little bit outside the window.
I wonder if maybe she's trying the undercut.
Oh, it is 16 laps.
Yeah, it's
16 laps. I think it's enough. She can make it.
I think she can make it.
That's gonna be a deep undercut. We'll see if it works. I think the final pit window is open now.
I believe it is.
We'll see what these guys are gonna be thinking
about it.
What the leaders do. These crew chiefs are definitely gonna be looking at that and wondering, is it time? So we see 71, 42, and 10 all fighting here.
Yeah.
So I think just outside the top 10.
Madison, what's up on Talberson?
Yeah, so I was just listening to crew chief communications, and I heard the phrase over the radio that if we can outdrive them, we need to outsmart them. So that is why the 39 came in trying an aggressive undercut, which We know that typically for tires, the overcut tends to be better in a run like this, but tires have not been much of a factor today, relatively speaking. So I think that strategy, if it doesn't result in a win, could result in a very good finish from the 39 team. That is going to be a bold strategy as we see more cars come to pit road. We will see how it works out in the coming laps.
20, 40, 22, 46, 60, all in.
I think that split up the leaders too.
That split up the leaders, yeah. This is really the first time we've seen the leaders get split under green.
And yeah, all sorts of calculations are going to be being made here as we see the two ERR cars, the 9 and 99 fighting here.
99 and 9 are fighting here for position.
Inside the top 10 now that we've seen a couple cars come in.
It actually would have been inside the top 10 regardless.
Oh, would it have? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because the 9 was in 10th before the pit stops.
But yeah, it looks like the 22, I would say, is attempting the undercut on the
55.
On the 55 as well, yeah. See Talberson there. We'll see
10
where she
cars
filters
come
out.
up. There's the 22, there's the 46, the 60, the 42, the 10.
31. Yeah, these are cars just coming out. We'll see where the 39 filters out. Ahead of the 18, but
filters out
behind
this
the
18,
2.
yeah. Looks like I think they've picked up on, she's trying to undercut them, and I think they've picked up on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Bria DeLaude out front. She's led for a bit today, but
This last stop's going to be crucial.
yeah. The last stop is going to be important for everybody. We'll see if she stays out or if the 52. See if
52
what
might
happens
try to stay
with some
out
of
to
these
get that
other
extra
cars.
point. We'll see.
I'm curious to see what happens with some of these other cars as well. See if they stay out, try to stay out long.
5 coming in. We'll see what the
55's
52
in,
does.
52's in,
Gumps in
19's
response.
in.
Should be
Looks
everyone
like
else
the
then.
16's in.
Should be everyone else then. We'll
The
see.
6 might stay out a little long here.
Maybe.
Yep.
Will do. All of
6,
these cars actually staying a little
6,
bit out.
9, 99, 71. Looks like the 38 and 34 are coming in.
Yep. And we'll see where the where is that 22 car.
There's the
she is,
22.
coming out of 13 and 14.
Driving through Thunder Valley right now. There's DeLaude in the
DeLaude's
55.
There we go. She's coming out now.
That looked like not a...
That's pretty good. It looks like pretty good actually. Well, I think that'll be enough to cover. Yeah, the 22 is only here. I think she'll filter out about 4th actually.
Yeah.
I'll put Rachel Kolbach up to 2nd. Although she's gonna be on colder tires. We'll see here. See if you can defend against the 22, who's had a lap to warm up her tires.
Yeah. Here's the leaders. Actually, the 6 of McJasmine has taken the lead from Byrne and Vebels, who are fighting for 2nd. Although this is off cycle.
Yeah, these
I
cars
think the overcut is a little bit of a benefit.
Maybe. I mean, you don't see that much tire wear, and a lot of these cars came in under the caution not that long ago, so that might be the case, actually.
17 looks like she's spending a bit of time on pit road.
Yep. Ooh, 71 a little bit wide, but
21
went very
really
wide. 21's going really wide. Hit
And
the
she's
wall
on
hard.
the wall. She's done. Yep, that's cooked.
We focus back in on the leader here. Yeah, you might have a good point on that overcut.
Yeah. I think you might be a little bit more. I think you might have a little bit more of a benefit if you try the overcut.
Yeah, especially as I said, that our last pit cycle
22
wasn't that
did
far
get
ago.
by the 52 though.
Yeah, 22 minutes to get around, but she has a long ways to go until she can get back to the 55.
The 55,
I think.
yeah. 55 the 55 had a really good pit stop. 13.5 seconds I saw was the time on that one.
Really good tire change there.
Here comes all these cars to pit road. McJasmine, Byrne, Vebels, Little all in. Gabriella
96
Harting,
staying out.
96 choosing to stay out. That's Angeli Rugatino. Nine car of Byrne is going to get credit for leading the lap.
That'll be her first lap led.
Yep. I'm probably the only one unless we get a caution and some really weird shenanigans at the end of this race.
Focus back into our net leader. 6. Here's the first few cars. Yeah, here's our leaders filtering through.
There's the 55, the 52, the 19, 46.
16 there.
52, 19, 46, 16, 6, 99, 9, 60. I think the 60 is going to get by the 9 here.
Should be, yeah.
Right now, Jocelyn Nihil was actually scored in the top 10 that time. Looks like the 42's got a fair bit of damage. I think Meka Gennaro might have slipped into in the carousel. Yep.
Right, it did, yeah. Let's see. I wonder what that gap between the 55 and the 52 is right. And the 22 is right now.
Well, last time by it was about 5 seconds between those two. See what it ends up being. There's still quite a bit of a ways to go, but they should be able to make it. They should be good on fuel here.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like everybody had about 17 laps on fuel. So with where they are, that should be good. 55 is caught up to the 1 here of Vancy. Vancy is yet to pit, I believe, so. Technically, I believe the 1 would be the leader if she stays out here, but I don't think she's going to stay out for very long.
96 holds the lead, or at least led that lap. She might be.
Yeah, she's on the pit road.
lane, yeah. There's the 1 and the 55.
92, 62, yeah, the 55. About 4.5 seconds. So the gap's shrinking a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah,
I think that the 55 also definitely got held up by the 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, I mean, look at this car. The NASCAR Xfinity Series races here were 45 laps, but before that they were 50 laps. We're going 62 laps, which is also conveniently was also the length of the NASCAR Cup Series races that were run here in Road America. And don't miss out, next week we got high action for you. Kentucky Speedway for the Continental and Cup Series. That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. When heading back to the 1.5 mile ovals.
Yep, Kentucky and then Charlotte. And then after that, it's a bunch of road courses all in a row, with the exception of Michigan. '71 a little fighting with Youngwei Koo in the 38 there. The 1 is technically scored second on track, although no, she's staying
Staying out, yeah.
she's staying out a little. She's staying out fairly long here. Wonder if she's hoping maybe she'll catch a caution.
Maybe.
.2 now, the gap back to the 22. So Davison ate in a little bit more. But Brie Delade back out front. And the French driver leading the way in Road America. Vancy, Davison, Cole, Handstrom, Yanaga, Angetta, McJasmina, Vebelst, and Wesco, the top 10. Although once Vancy cycles into pit road, it will be the 9 of Carly Byrne that will take over the 10th position. There's a battle back here for net 12th. That's Koo and Stoneman. I believe Stoneman's going to take that away.
It's Davison now.
Davison's closing up on Vancy here.
Approaching the 1 of Vancy now. Get the move done this early? Nah, I just didn't have the time to do it.
Wasn't close enough. .22 went wide, really wide.
Tapped it on the
That's
track.
going to cost her a fair bit as the one comes to pit road.
Yeah, peels into pit road now.
I think it might have just been a little confusion over the one signaling whether she was coming to pit road that cost her that. But yeah, she lost about a second from that. And she's got only Windows 11 to go to make that up. As Bria DeLaude leads by 5.49 seconds here from Road America. As the 99 has come to the a lot of damage. That is is what everyone thinks it is. Yep.
Yep.
Bonk. And for Vebels too, it looked like a day that might be a great recovery for her from going from the back to the front. It's not going to be that. So DeLaude, Davison, Cole, Handstrom, Angetta, Yanaga, McJasmina, Wesco, Carly Byrne, and Abby Little is the top 10 right now. How about Abby Little making her way back up to 10th after, getting caught out on that caution while leading the race?
Yeah, it's been a good run for her here. Just able to slowly claw her way up through the pack, and right now looking at a good top 10 finish.
Indoli Rugatino sitting 14th. Solid run for Rugatino, who's teammates with DeLaude. I mean, not the greatest run, but good enough. Cole trying to fend off Handstrom here.
Yeah, this is for third. Cole just trying to snake around the track here. Trying to prevent Handstrom from getting any kind of run.
Handstrom might get that run here down the front straightaway, though.
Yeah.
What if you try to snake down the front stretch like you would at, like, Indy? How much do you think that would work here?
Maybe. It's not much. There's not much straightaway to move around in, but you certainly could give it a try.
Yeah.
As Cole runs a little wide there, that might open the door for Handstrom a bit.
Davison gained a tiny bit of time there, but not that much. I think the 22's faster. I just don't think she has enough time unless we get a caution, which I could see there being another yellow. There's still a lot.
Still could have a caution, I think.
I mean, 10 laps here is still a lot of time. Nihil's actually recovered up to 23rd after that tire down, which I think is a fairly good recovery.
Yeah, I think so as well. See this mid-pack battle, there is kind of a bunch of cars moving about. 52 been able to pull a little bit from the 19.
And the 99 retired from the race, so for the driver who was second in points, that's not going to be a great finish to the day for her. Addison, what's up on Marisha Vebels?
Well, it's not so much something wrong with the car or some kind of status on repairs with it being this late in the race, but more so just a report on, I guess, exactly what happened. Vebels just overcooked it and was just infuriated and terribly sad about her mistake. And I can't really say everything over the radio, but she was extremely apologetic to the team, and the crew chief, of course, not particularly happy, but was consoling in that moment. And unfortunate because, as you mentioned before, that was a big opportunity to make up some lost ground in the standings, and it's all gone to waste, unfortunately, and she'll be credited with a 30th place finish as things stand. Back to you.
We got to fight for 5th here. There's Yanaga with Njeta, and McJasmine is closing in on both of them as well. This is 3 Southwest Racing cars all right next to each other.
A bit of a team battle here. As Yanaga's just following the 16 again. You saw that 46 get past the 16, but they switch spots again at the pit cycle. But now Yanaga's looking to the inside into turn 3. She'll be able to make a move here. 16's gonna try to hang on, but I think the should be no. They're still side by side actually.
They're still gonna stay side by side, but I don't think the 16's gonna have the momentum.
Yeah, 16 doesn't seem to have as much momentum as the 46 does.
Unless she can really drive it deep into the corner here.
Yeah. Nah, not really. Well, actually, a little bit better. Might
Not horrible.
Not horrible, but the 6 is gonna be able to push. I think, give an extra push to the 46 to get her ahead. The 6 runs wide trying to do that. Yeah, we got 16 looking to the inside.
Trying to cross back over.
Close.
Nah, can't get it.
Can't get it though. It's gonna look, but be close enough.
5.0 between the 55 and the 22. So the gap is shrinking.
Shrinking. Staying relatively steady, but yeah.
As the car has gone well off. That's the 16.
Slowed.
She's stuck in the gravel there. And that's going to be the end of her. That's going to be the end of that run for Njeta.
17 is back on.
17's back on pit road.
17 spent a lot of time on pit road, just coming back in, just getting extra repairs, I think.
See how close the gap is here.
5's gonna cross the line.
Half a second gain for Davison.
Maybe if she can keep that up.
If she can keep that up, she might get there.
She's gonna need to do perfect laps here. She's gonna be on. She's gotta be doing it. She's gonna be getting. Well, that might also help.
This might help. Yeah.
That might help as well. The 17 is managed to filter her way up in front of the 55.
Yeah.
That'll certainly help to close the gap a little bit.
Well, the 22. The 22 will also have to deal with that.
Yeah. 55 is gonna clear.
55 gets by.
Didn't get held up for too long, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the 22 will have to do the same as well, probably down into Canada corner.
Might be the same spot she caught another car. I don't remember which one it was. It was the one.
The
that's
one,
right.
yeah. Yeah, I feel definitely really spread out now as the 6 is looking around past the 46.
Looked to the inside on the 46, but couldn't make it stick.
Ooh.
22 a little wide.
A few tires into the grass there, but
you can get away with that.
On the grass
You can get away with that.
You can get away with that pretty easily, yeah. There is plenty of room. There is enough room to play around there and go a bit wide, but We don't really want to do that anyways. It's best to keep it kind of down the middle.
You can get away with it some, but not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah.
To go all the way back here to find the battle for 5th between Yanaga and McJasmine now that the 16 has fallen. I don't know if she's fallen out of the race, but 4.0, another half a second.
Another half a second. Certainly there. It's going to be down to how she manages the 17 and whether or not she can keep that pace up.
7 laps to go. If she gains half a second, if she gains half a second every lap, I don't think she's going to do it. Maybe the draft can come into play if she gets close enough, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think if she gets within about a second and a half, she'll be there and thereabouts, but
yeah,
it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. She's going to need to keep doing perfect laps, basically.
With the high drag, that does punch a bit of a bigger hole for these cars that lasts a little longer, especially down the straightaways.
Mm-hmm. You see the 6 and 46 continuing their fight for 5th.
There's 7th, Carly Byrne. AWSCO in 8th. I mean, AWSCO, this is a good run for her as well.
Yeah.
She needed something like this. I don't want to sing praises for anybody too early, though, because, well, that carousel jumps out and bites.
Okay, you want to be really careful on the carousel.
16's coming back.
Out.
I think she just got stuck in the gravel. I don't think she actually had enough damage that ended her day.
It doesn't look like she has much damage to that car.
Yeah.
22 just getting to the 17 now.
She's just getting to the 17 now. In fact, that might actually be pretty.
That might help because she'll have a run into 1 and 3.
She might actually catch here on this front straightaway and be able to get underneath.
Yeah. If she doesn't catch here, she'll catch us a 3, definitely. So it gives her 2 opportunities to make a move. We'll see how much she's able to. She didn't catch that much though. Only a couple of tenths that time. She'll be on the inside of the 17 here. She should be able to get the move down definitely into 3. And then just need some more perfect laps.
Definitely caught the 17 at an easier spot than the 55 did.
Yeah. 55 now just needs to focus on getting those laps together.
Six to go. Davidson's got to run qualifying laps to get to that 55. Got to push it for all it's worth. And, you know, with how close they are on fuel, they're, what, only about 15, 16 laps?
Yeah.
You know, and this final run is just about that.
Pretty much.
Wonder if the 55 may just be saving a little.
Perhaps. But she did come in with, what, 15 to go, I would say?
Yeah, about.
She came in a lap after the 55, the 39 who came in with 16 to go, so.
Yeah.
That would mean a 15 lap run to the end, and the 22 came in the lap afterwards?
I think it was the other way around. I think the 22 came in the lap before the 55.
Oh, yeah.
Those two still battling.
Fight's still going on. You see the 39 and...
This is for 12th.
12th, yeah.
There's 11th, Angeli Rigatino right there. Davidson's got to make up that ground now.
Yep.
Otherwise,
this is going to be crucial. This lap is going to be the money lap. We'll see.
Nope. I think she lost a lot of time trying to get around that 17. That might have been her last shot. 23.
23 in.
Yappy Malikson. It's another carousel incident. Late in the race, these cars are going all, a lot deeper into the carousel, and I think that's costing them somewhat. Getting aggressive, and I think they're just getting a little too aggressive. Bria Delade, who has a win already this season in Fontana.
Looking pretty good here. Just gotta hit her marks. Make sure don't bin it in the carousel a couple more times.
I recall her running pretty good in Bathurst. I remember she blew a tire in that race, got back in the lead lap. She was 2 laps down, got back in the lead lap, and ended up finishing very well. I think at Willow Springs she got caught up in an incident. But she had been running fairly okay in that race, from what I remember. Bria Delade just kind of tried to make herself more of a jack of all trades.
Yeah, she's shown good pace at all these, at most tracks, I think. That win at Fontana definitely kick-started her season. She wasn't running too well beforehand, but ever since then she's been doing a little bit better, I would say.
Yeah, she's definitely been doing better. She's up in 17th in the points. She's able to hang on. She would be the second driver to get 2 wins.
Yeah,
as there are 4 laps to go here from Road America.
2 top 10s in the last 3 races with 1 15th place. So good streak of runs for the 55 here.
Yeah. And her teammate Rigatino has improved as well a little bit, the last little bit.
Yeah. It'll be important. It'll be interesting to see where the 34 filters out on points here, because they're in that playoff cutoff battle. Oh, see a
10
car
car.
coming in. 10 car. Oh,
That appears to be.
there's some smoke.
Yeah, it looks like.
Appears to have some smoke coming out of that car. That's definitely an engine problem on it.
That's tough for Stoneman, who late in this race she was in the top 10. She was actually running 10th, and it will not end up like that. Harina's in 12th right now, so
Okay, yeah, it's important because she's fighting the 2 of Dijavida for the last playoff spot right now. And that's separated by 7 points, so that'll be interesting to see. Everyone around her has wins, so it's just down to those 2 pretty much, and maybe Alicia Byrne, considering I haven't really seen her run well. Oh, it's the 32 runs well wide.
yeah, she's gone. Oh no, she's fine.
She's fine. She managed to she kept it together. That's actually really helped the 22 as the lap car got out of the way there. And that's really gonna hurt the 52 because that was close.
That was really tight. That was a lot closer than I think anybody would have liked.
Yeah, that's a lot closer than I think the 52 would have liked. Probably didn't expect her to be that slow.
I think the 55 got held up quite a bit by those lappers, and I'm not sure if the 22 actually caught up or not, but it looked a lot closer.
We'll have to see.
Addison, what happened to the 10?
Well, we heard a clutch issue on the 10, and that's part of what happened for sure. The transmission it gave way. There's a lot of shifting here at Road America with all sorts of slow corners, fast corners, high speeds, and just one shift just disagreed with the car, and it just went up in smoke, and thankfully able to limp back to pit road, but it is day done, gearbox destroyed, and a very unfortunate end for the 10 car.
And Audie Stoneman has needed some luck because she came in 22nd in the points, and she hadn't had a top 12.
Yeah.
She's
You
first top
mentioned
20
that,
in a while.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you mentioned getting held up. The 22 is now down to 3 seconds, so all of a sudden that gap, the advantage the 55 had built up in the last few laps had disappeared. She has just 2 laps to go, so she just has 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go, so it's gonna take a lot for the 22 to catch. But
Well, I mean,
A lot of the
this is Road
work was
America.
done there already. Yeah.
This is Road America.
Still a lot of driving left to go.
I mean, that's the thing. This is Road America. These laps are super long, so making up seconds at a time isn't really that strange.
And yeah, there's a lot of places to make up ground at this track, so especially if the 55 makes a mistake. We've seen the carousel bite before. He's bitten a lot, and that corner's bitten a lot of drivers, including leaders. So
Yeah, we saw Barrino get out of shape there.
55 just has to keep it steady here. So
They're in the
race to
same
lose now.
shot now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Laud needs to keep it steady and not overdo it.
Yeah. The 6 is kind of faded a little bit, or maybe the 9
I
is
think
actually.
the 9 is
Yeah,
just
I think the
clo-
9
I
is
think the
closed
9
in.
closed
Actually,
up on these two.
yeah, this is a battle to look out for. Maybe the 9 can have a shot at 5th here.
See what the gap is between these two as they'll cross the line here. With 2 laps to go from Road America as DeLaude's out front. 2.94.
Kept steady, yeah.
Not
Just
good enough.
good enough for the 55 here. Just needs to keep that up. This looks like the closest battle we're gonna see here.
Yeah, this is for the fight for 5th between Carly Byrne, Mick Jasmina, and Yanaga.
Byrne looking down the back stretch. In the
She's
front stretch,
looking down,
looking
trying
down
to
turn
take
1.
that 6th position.
6 closes the door.
Mick Jasmina
Good
cut
work.
down.
Yeah, good work to close the door there and kind of push her wide. Just needs to make sure she gets all these corners right.
This would put Dark Horse Racing on par with all of the other win-leading teams. It would be their 3rd win of the season if DeLaude holds on here. Evans Ross Racing has 3 wins. Mason Parker has 3. Atlantic Racing has 3.
DeLaude getting a few tires out on the grass. But
I'm getting more. You see them get a little wide off
Get a
in
little
the
wide,
carousel.
yeah.
You start getting worried.
It doesn't take a lot to take 2 tires in the grass turn into 2 tires on the gravel, and from there on you're just along for the ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, 55 is pushing the limits a little bit. She has room to play with, but not that much room.
Yeah, that's where you don't want to go. That's where you don't want to try and push it in the carousel, because you mess up there, that messes up a lot. In fact, I think even if she just goes into the gravel, that would give
probably
the race
give,
to
yeah.
the 22.
Yeah, that would cost a lot of time. Oh, 22's
22's
coming in!
She doesn't have enough fuel.
Well, here we go.
Well,
22.
well, I think that'll seal it then.
That should settle it.
White flag, 1 to go for DeLaude.
55 with a lot of room now. That'll give 2nd to the 52 pole. We'll see if anybody else has to come in. 60. Well, the way the field's spread out, splash and dash is gonna hurt, but it's not gonna hurt too much at least. I think that'll drop her down to, I say, the middle of the top 10. Now with lots of room.
Yeah, she just has to keep it steady.
Yeah, just don't bin it in the carousel. Just avoid the tire barriers, basically.
Don't stuff it in the barriers and you'll be good.
I see a battle between 2 cars with no front ends here.
These are 2 cars that are lapped
2
down
cars
as
and a
well.
combined of 2 bumpers along with them.
And there's, the battle for 5th is right behind
Right behind them, yeah. That's not really gonna help Yanago that much. The 55 is just slowly negotiating through the carousel here.
And I think she's
Don't
not
need to
pushing
push it. Don't need to push it there. And down the kink she goes. And look at this battle! 9
That's
and
Byrne
6
trying
side by
to take
side.
it from Mick Jasmina.
Yeah, Yanaga's now negotiating the lapped cars. Byrne heads off to the grass. That'll give position to the 6, I think.
They'll still
No,
be side by
they'll
side.
still be side by side. Oh, they'll be side by side through the kink. That'll really help the 9 if the 6 unless the 6 tries to shove her off the track.
All right, 55.
Round
She
the
doesn't
final
come
turn.
down pit road. She's good. And she's good.
It's good.
Bria Delade, the French driver, will take her 2nd win of the season. Delade wins at Road America. Ignore that camera cut. It's fine.
Wait a little while here for Cole and Handstrom. There they cross the line, completing the top 3.
2nd and 3rd, Cole Handstrom.
Should be the 46 of Yanaka, I believe.
It'll be the 46, I believe, that'll end up 4th.
Yep.
Byrne 5th, McJasmine
Yeah,
is 6th.
sixth.
She'll finally take her first top 10 of the season. Little will get 7th. Davison will
only-
still finish 8th.
Davison only drops to 8th, yeah. I think it'll be the 96 as long as she's made it as well.
96.
There we go. Man, I have no idea who's in 11th right now.
10th place will be the 38.
38 and 34. Good run by the 34, all things considered, I think. Oh, and the 91 as well. That's an
There's the
important.
60. She
That's
dropped
an,
to 13.
that's an important result for the playoff races. The 91. I don't think we saw that car really show up all day, and she was fighting the 34 as well in that playoff bubble.
Yeah, they finished right next to each other. Nihil still recovers to finish 19th, so
I'm just waiting for everyone to filter out. I think the 31 also came into.
you know, for those championship days, for chasing that championship, it's not really about those days when you win. It's about the days where you make the most out of when you don't win, and that's what Nihil did. They had problems, fell a lap down, but she was able to get lucky and get back on the lead, cycle back onto the lead lap,
And yeah, it's the 64. For the 64, this has kind of been the theme of their season. I mean, they only have one finish behind. They only have one finish outside the top 20, not counting Bristol, of course, where they didn't finish. So they've been They've been strong and consistent all season.
well, after that one, I mean, how would you rate that race? How do you feel like?
That was fun. A very fun strategy race, I would say, especially down that middle stretch where cars were moving about, kind of staggering their strategies along. It all kind of worked out in the end, but I think that second caution definitely helped balance things out in the end. And a really good stop by the 55 late on. That was an incredibly quick stop by that team. Gave her the cushion that she needed to just kind of manage the race to the end there.
Well, Bria Delade, the driver from France, takes the victory. Rachel Cole 2nd and Arlan Handstrom 3rd. And that's a lot of drivers who've really shined on the road courses this year. All up at the front. And Carly Byrne as well, who hasn't really shined anywhere, but she's picked it back up as of late. 5th place run for Carly Byrne. That's something worth praising. Abby Little finished 7th. That's another run worth praising.
Yeah, good run for her. Rugatino as well, kind of up and down the field, ended up, I think, kind of in the mid-teens at the end of the last stop, and just kind of clawed her way back up to the top 10. So good for her. The 34, of course, all sorts of antics today from that 34 car.
Well, we're going to take you back to the FanDuel Fan Studio here in a moment, but, I mean, just generally fun race. I quite enjoyed that. I think this track proved it belongs on the schedule.
Yeah.
Not only here, but in a fair amount of other series too, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree. This has been a fun race. This was a fun race, and I would like to see it I'd like to see it returned in this series and kind of continue being a feature the schedule in other series as well. So
Well, after 62 laps, it came down to who had enough fuel. And Bria Delade had enough fuel and won by about 7.2 seconds. We're going to send you back to the FanDuel Fan Studio here for the post-race show with Madison and Eddie. Hopefully you two are ready to cover the post-race here from Road America. All right, take it away.
Yep, Eddie's standing right beside me, and I just got back from pit road, and we do have a race to talk about with Brie Delade managing to pull it off. We were talking about how that strategy could work in the mid-race show, and of course in the post-race, we know that it did work, and the 22 was a big challenger talking about Andre Davison, but did not have the fuel to make it, had to come in and fortunately only lost 7 spots, which is not too bad all things considered, but still bitter considering she had something of a chance to win. Certainly some great runs as we heard about and spoke about for some of these other drivers, and overall, other than some antics in the carousel that were not uncommon throughout the race, really pretty placid for the most part. What do you think about that, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what just happened. Really more technical difficulties on my end was kind of running around pit road, and then I mean I had some technical difficulties on my end and just kind of finally got things back up to normal to see what was the end of this race. I mean, you got your pick strike, Madison. I'll congratulate you on that, as I seem to have cursed
Thank you.
Atlantic Racing to not have a top 10 in this race, despite looking like a very strong team coming in. So, yeah, this was a race. I mean, yeah, Bria Delade, that 55 car. I guess that whole team deserves some points because Dark Horse really, did, I mean, had the best strategy and the strategy that paid off. Um, to my knowledge, Dark Horse has had an interesting season. I think, to my, I'm just now finally checking points. I mean, this is Delade's second win of the season. She won at California. Add that with Angeli Rugatino also winning a race, and both Dark Horse races are in the Dark Horse cars are in the playoffs and are locked in. And at this point, establishing yourselves as a threat with your strategy is a real good way to do it. And maybe Dark Horse gets an extra team this year. I know this sounds a bit early, but I mean the team put together is clearly good enough, much better than some of the other teams we've seen. So maybe they're due for something at the end of this season. But right now, I know Delade and Rugatino are due for the playoffs, so it's got to feel good.
Yeah, certainly. They've had some seasons where they've seen moments of success, and certainly Delade did win out west. I was actually in the booth for that race, and that was quite a pleasure to commentate. And again at Road America, this time in a studio role, again, it was a privilege to be here in the state of Wisconsin for both the Continental and Windows Cup races, with Delade going back to victory lane. And 7 seconds is honestly not that massive of a margin at Road America, all things considered, because we see 25 cars that finished on the lead lap, and the last one on the lead lap, Taylor Happman, was 73, almost 74 seconds behind, and then you have cars that were a lap down or more. So large gaps, but for Road America being 4 miles long, certainly not unexpected to see this many cars on the lead lap. But overall, had what 30 cars that finished the race, so more than
Oh
most
yeah.
AWSCO races, but still had a fair amount of attrition. What shocked you most about the race?
I mean, look at the top 28 and question where Eva Jartharaj is in this whole thing. Driver who we expected with her starting position to, run this, to really be able to run this race, just did not show anything on a track where you would have expected her to do so, and that's a bit worrying for Eva. I know. I mean, again, you're a driver in the playoffs, you're locked in, but you are, a driver who will at least make the playoffs at the end of the season thanks to winning at Willow Springs. But when you're not doing that well on the road courses, that's not a good sign. And I mean, there's Watkins Glen and Laguna Seca on that course. So there's two races that, if you put it together, you can really win. But if you're showing something like this, that's just not a good sign. That's not really going to help you And it certainly doesn't help that with Mosport, Mexico City, and Sonoma, you got to get yourself in gear because, as I think Echo mentioned, there are going to be a lot of road courses upcoming. And if Argersuraj really wants to, establish herself as the threat on these road courses, she's going to have to do a lot more because, yeah, this wasn't it. This was not it.
Yeah, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt for sure because we had several big names, including the leader that had um, certainly moments in this race where they crashed out in the carousel, especially. But I think as Arshraj, there is some reason for concern, but I don't think this is the end of the world for the 98 team. And certainly there are worse mistakes made today, bigger opportunities lost. Like, I'd even argue Mauricia Vebel started dead last, made her way up into the top 10, and then pretty much threw it all away with a mistake in the carousel. And we saw a number of drivers, you can dip two wheels on the grass, maybe, but if you go much further than that, you're pretty much you're doomed at that point for sure. But yeah, certainly we have Carly Byrne in the top 5, Abby Little in the top 10. A lot of notable runs. And are there any closing thoughts that you have as we approach the end of this race weekend?
Oh, this was a fun little sortie in the what I forget what this state's official name is, but I'm just gonna straight up say Wisconsin. Fun little Sargento 400. I'm definitely gonna be looking into this race in terms of determining, what I can say about road courses in the coming weeks. But I can say that Bria Delade, that team, they did it. They did what you expected them to do, and I didn't, and I don't think a lot of us, the rest of us, did. In that they were going to play the strategy right. They did. They put enough fuel in that car. They made sure the tires were all right, and that car, was up there for as much of the race as I saw, and then she won it. So I probably need to make a joke about France winning again, but I am not going to do that out of respect. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think our broadcasters would like that either, but yeah, certainly quite the race to watch. A lot of strategy, a lot of attrition, not as much crazy chaos in the same fashion as Pocono, but still a fair amount of chaotic moments throughout the race. Some great battling, a lot of excellent racecraft, and yeah, certainly was a pleasure, wasn't it, Eddie?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks to AWSCO for transporting me here and for dealing with my difficulties. I'm sure I will not get fired.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be a decision that will be made outside of the racetrack. And it's been a wonderful weekend here in Wisconsin, and this is really
He's
proof
fired
why maybe we
immediately.
should have.
For
Okay.
fuck's sake.
Fired on the broadcast. Okay, yeah, that's why you're
Hey,
fired.
hey, yeah, we apologize for the language, but anyway,
I'm not
it's been
apologizing
wonderful
for
being
nothing.
here.
Someone
We're at
take
the
this.
end of the
Someone
broadcast.
take this man away.
They call
Yeah, all
security.
right.
Say what I want. I'm a radio sweetheart.
Call security. Get him off the premises.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
Oh
Maybe
God,
this
I
is why
got
stock
fight
cars
work
should
to
be
do
on
today.
the
I'm
Road
ready.
America road course and Milwaukee Mile as well. So certainly, we are the stock car racing series that does go to Wisconsin at both destinations, and it has been a pleasure being here. And I think that's it from Eddie and I, and we will take it back to Echo and Rashia for their last thoughts before we close things out.
Let me at him.
Yeah, and a great race, very fun race. I thought that was very enjoyable. I enjoyed that. This series never disappoints when it comes to road course racing, and it's kind of surprising because I think a lot of people were a bit concerned when they saw so many road courses on the schedule, but all three road course events have been amazing so far.
Yeah, I think so. It's been fun watching these road courses so far, and I think this race and Bathurst were kind of pretty similar in terms of the way they raced and the way the strategies panned out as well, I think. And yeah, I think we saw a good balance of both in this race in terms of just outright racing and kind of that working that strategy game to your benefit to be able to seal off the win here.
Yeah, and this is a great tell for these drivers, especially considering that, in a few weeks we have that stretch of 5 road courses in 6 weeks. It'll be great. That'll be really fun to watch. We return to the road courses in a couple weeks in Montreal at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. that will be a very fun race.
Yeah, that'll be a little second international stretch, I think,
Yeah.
for the Cup Series.
And next week we'll be at Kentucky Speedway for both Continental and the Cup Series. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight from Road America. With all that being said, on behalf of Rasha and Madison and Eddie,